You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 109. Eric Butt is pretty good butt.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that really wishes that he had written down some joke he thought of a week ago but didn't, and now you get to listen to this. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I am Raven Perez.
That was the craziest opening. Very rushed. And now our show is a he. You gave it a pronoun.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? The show?
You said he. The show that wishes he had written it down.
Oh, right. I guess I personified myself as the show.
You did, James Brown. The show and the business. It's okay.
All right.
Technically, he is. He is the show.
The show. The big show.
If Jim ate like that final burrito, you know that one that's out there waiting for all of us? If Jim ate the final burrito, this show would be over.
Waiting out there for all of us.
Yes. I'm just saying it'd be over. Show over. Me and Craig can't do this shit. We don't know technology and recording.
I'm sure you could fake it till you make it.
Mm-mm. I'd refuse.
Too much effort.
So,
all right. So what?
As we were saying, this is the Savage FINcast, the only show that is dedicated to the comic book Savage Dragon and its creator Erik Larsen, coming at you again, coming at you hot and heavy, with a brand new episode, not about Savage Dragon, but it is Erik Larsen related. We're going to be talking about Ant number 12, which has been a long again time coming.
Long time.
So we're going to have a lot of opinions about that. Mostly about how I don't know anything about Ant.
Oh, that'll make two of us, my man. But you know what? I got a lot of opinions about the future of Ant. And I think it's going to be fun just to get our fresh-faced opinions. Also, hear our thoughts on whether or not it is such an awesome idea to open up with an issue 12 instead of an issue 1. And I think there's a lot to chew on for this very dicey, very controversial FINcast. Mired. Some would say this is going to be our most controversial episode. It's going to be mired in controversy, this episode. I think every article, every point is contentious. Only the letters are pure and wholesome. Other than that, it's straight controversy this whole time. If you're driving, just don't fucking wreck. That's all I'm saying.
Now you set this up. Now we've got to
Yeah, you better be able to pay this off too, dude.
We're gonna. You guys ready to buckle the fuck up for news item number 1?
Buckle your pants up.
Oh my God, here it comes.
It's a big one.
So what's that first news item about there, Raven? What could we possibly be talking about this episode?
It was a calm and sunny Sunday. We all were resting, much like the Lord our Maker, when all of a sudden, over the horizon, a mushroom cloud towered. A bomb dropped by letterer extraordinaire Farron Delgado, who proclaimed his time with Savage Dragon was no more. According to inside sources, we got 2 scoops. We're like Raisin Bran up in this bitch. We hear that number 259 will be Farron's last issue.
Which already happened, so he's done.
Yeah, he's donezo, man. He's out. So, lot to chew on here, guys. Gotta say, just some points here. The complaint from Farron was, as he parted, that it was takes him twice as long and to complete Savage Dragon as it does his corporate comic work. It says that he receives the pages late, requiring that he marathon to get them done, no sleep, 24-hour, 48-hour crunches in order to meet printing deadlines. And, Farron asked for an increase in pay, and he was also upset with Erik based on a debate on Stan Lee's merits on the Jack Kirby fan page that Erik curates.
I'd say one of the things, though, he did mention that he was kind of upset about was, he'd get all these pages last minute. Erik would say that, there's a deadline to meet the printer. And then he said, he would see Erik kind of on social media the whole time. You know what I mean? Like spending all his time on social media, and that was kind of pissing him off. I mean, right. I guess for the listeners, if you guys aren't on Facebook, just to kind of step back a few points,
right,
is that Farron kind of had this blow up rant on his own page, and then he also posted some rants on the Savage Dragon fan page, and they were pretty nasty, I think, in tone. And it was just kind of a fed up, like, I'm done with this, I'm done getting abused kind of tone. So just as a little feedback to that, you can see the original kind of post on the Savage Dragon fan page.
One of our FINcast fin heads in the group did tell us, that the Google Translate did not 100% accurately convey Farron's tone.
So he's Italian, right?
Greece.
No.
It lives in Greece, right?
I think you're thinking of Nikos.
He's either Spanish or
Nikos is Greek.
All right, sorry. My apologies.
I think he's either from Spain or Italy, and I'm going to get trashed for not knowing.
Yeah, whatever. What dog shit. We really didn't do our due diligence here. But, the thing is this. The point is that the topic came up on social media. That's how we all got the information. Hyperbole in theatrics aside, Farron dropped a post onto Facebook, and he just basically said he was done. He resigned publicly, and he aired his grievances with his work conditions publicly, and this did find its way to the Savage Dragon Erik Larsen Facebook group, which is very active. If you're listening to this, there's a 90% chance that you're a member of that group. However, then of course fans ended up weighing in, and it went really deep. Eventually, Erik did get to have his say. I don't even know how. No need to speculate, but I don't even think he initially even knew, because Farron blocked him, then posted it, right?
Well, I believe Farron had blocked him previously for the Stan Lee Kirby kerfluffle.
Yeah, I was gonna drop that little juicy nugget. So here's the thing: is that it's worth stating that at the end of the day, they parted ways. That's it. So everything else that we're really saying is just our own opinions on this. I got a little speculation to drop in there, a little letter's insight to bring to the conversation. I think these are important things. If you're a finhead, I think you need to know this stuff, right? But I think it's stuff to think about. So, first off, I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. It ain't great to hear that there's 24-hour, any kind of 24-hour turnaround requested of anybody. That's not great. That's just not good. It's not really kind of a respectful thing of someone's time. You don't know what people might have going on in their life.
Right, just to expect such a quick turnaround last minute, that's asking a lot from somebody.
That's asking a lot from anybody. And especially when you add to the fact that, typically if Savage Dragon is late, it's usually late by a month or more, sometimes 2 months. And it's I don't know, just my opinion is at that point, what would it matter if it took, longer? Right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's not great. That's not good. And to be fair, Erik never said that didn't happen. So apparently we can take it that complaint that work was dropped in his lap with short turnarounds was completely true. And the other thing is that Farron, he issued these demands when he said, apparently him and Erik, they had a talk, and when he said he wanted to, change things, he said that he didn't want to work any weekends, and he didn't want to do more than 4 pages a day, and, no more rush jobs or whatever else, right? All right, so all I wanted to throw in this, just a little insight for you guys. Farron himself was talking about sometimes how he could spend as much as 2 hours a page lettering, right?
Right.
Look, I just want to throw in the insight. I've been digitally lettering for over 20 years. That's a long time. Right. That's very slow. I'm just telling you that that is very slow. And I think
so I guess is that where the 4 pages a day, if it's 2 hours a page, it's 8 hours?
Right. And so what sounds like kind of at first a reasonable request, I have to tell you that is insanely slow. You can typically letter a page in 30 minutes, especially when the words are being given to you. It's really just sort of copy and pasting them and arranging them to make them, fit attractively in a word balloon, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like writing. I'm saying I can letter a page in 30 minutes to an hour. That's with me writing. Me looking at a line and be like, that could be better, and workshopping it. Still doesn't take me that long. So I'm just going to say that, with a little letterer's insight, that's very slow. And the problem with this whole thing about the work turnaround or whatever else, and the reason why I wanted to just bring this insight to this conversation, is that what initially was being sort of painted as these are bad work conditions or whatever else, I can 100% agree that having work dropped in your lap with a 24-hour to 48-hour turnaround is inconsiderate. It's not good. But you have to see both sides of the coin here. I cannot imagine that your average Savage Dragon issue takes truly 2 hours to letter a single page digitally. I just can't. Even with word balloons or sound effects. With sound effects, I'm sorry.
It's not a Michael Bendis Talking Heads most of the time issue.
No, and Erik and him had a bit of not genuine back and forth because they couldn't see it, but Farron posted in the most recent issue, there's literally a Talking Heads pinup, and Farron posted that example and was like, "Hey, look at this page." He was like, "This takes forever. This is a nightmare."
It was misleading though because that's 1 page.
Well, that was what was so funny is Erik said, "Yeah, but in that same issue." He said, look at this page, and this page, and this page. And he literally gave 6 examples of splash pages that had a single word balloon, where the word balloon would be like, oh, shit.
So Raven, as someone that knows maybe or has an insider view on this,
right?
When you get a page rate for lettering, does it matter whether it's 1 million words or 2 sentences on a page? You get the same rate per page, or how does that work?
Typically, the way it's done is you get the same rate regardless. And that's to keep things fair, because if there is a heavy page and then a page with no lettering, it evens
out at the end.
It all evens out, right? So the thing is one could assume whether he put down a single word balloon or whether he put down 25. He was Farron himself threw out 25 as a number, as a point of contention, 25 word balloons on a page. Well, for one, I know you bros both know, but your average Savage Dragon page does not have 25 fucking word balloons. It doesn't. And so
I guess on the other end of that, there's a lot of the, sound effects.
Sound effects, yes. And I'm not going to say that those sound effects are nothing, because a lot of the times if you have a sound effect behind characters, the reality of that is the letterer has to chop out the character, right? To make that appear as if it was behind the drawn character. However, this is where I don't have insight that would be nice to have. I will tell you that if those layers are being presented to him with the flats intact, then it is simply a matter of clicking a magic wand on the flat, and it instantly selects the outline of the flat shape of the character. And then you can just come up to the layer where your sound effect is and hit delete, and boom, the word looks like it's behind the character.
It
and
does.
Even that is fast. Is what I'm saying.
It's magic.
It is very nice. So
should be referring to it as onomatopoeia, or do they just call it sound effects, or what?
It's kind of like how a frame is a panel, is it's not like nailed down. Like, they call word balloons. They're like, oh, the tail, the pointer. Right. It's like in comics, everything has like 3 names.
The SFX.
Yeah, the SFX.
So Farron was kind of framing it like, oh, I don't even make minimum wage on Savage Dragon. But to me,
right,
you're getting a page rate that one thing that was frustrating me on the Savage Dragon fan page where a lot of this was going down was, oh, Erik's a terrible boss, he's a horrible person. And it's like, wait a minute, Farron's a contractor, he's hired,
right.
He's a hired contractor, he sets his own page rate.
Right.
So if that's unacceptable to him, then he needs to change his rate, which of course right now he, with what he was talking about, he was pushing for that.
Right.
But he did 30-something pages at this rate, so you really can't complain if you're the one setting 30-something issues.
Right.
You can't really complain if you're the one setting that rate. And to me, maybe that rate was lower because he got some exposure by doing Savage Dragon. I don't really know how much he did before Savage Dragon. I didn't know him before Savage Dragon. But to me, you're working on an image book with an image founder that's giving you some credibility. Whether Savage Dragon sells, 5,000 copies or 100,000 copies,
right,
to be able to put on your resume that you lettered, Erik Larsen's comic, has got to go has got to give something for you. And then I think Erik even pulled him over when he did some work at Marvel. I think he lettered either the Spider-Man one or the Captain America The End comic.
Right.
So I mean, I gotta think that some, even if he got the cheaper rate, it gave him access to like a pro to start off with.
Right.
And so there's some exposure there. Now.
Right.
I get you wanting more, but Erik kind of addressed a lot of that where he was asking for double, the rates. And the way Erik kind of framed it, and maybe I'm jumping too far ahead.
No, that's fine.
They had a big disagreement on the whole Stan Lee's contributions to Jack Kirby, because they're both on one of these Jack Kirby Facebook pages. And
yes.
Farron's a big proponent of Kirby, gets all the credit and Stan Lee gets none, and Erik disagrees. Mm-hmm. And so part of that left a bad taste, and Erik, I think, is coming to the fact that Farron kind of doubled his prices in a way just to get out of working on Savage Dragon. At least that's the way it seems, how he framed it.
Look, I just want to say I feel like you're 100% accurate. The thing is this, what we kind of touched on is that when you are dealt with the page rate, so your work fluctuates. Some days you have heavy pages. Some days you put one word balloon down and you're done with the next page. So it's like how hard your day is really kind of depends on how, it's random. It's a wild card thing. But basically, it's not that every single page is terrible. And more or less, you can kind of dictate your own pace. Again, you're a freelancer or whatever else. If you're given a 24-hour deadline, just miss it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hate to say it, but like that's a reality of if somebody drops. If
okay, sorry,
no, it's fine. I agree. I'm agreeing with you that I think that the real point of contention, Erik's, said that he believes that, quote, this is Erik's words verbatim, the Lee Kirby stuff set him off. After that, he was looking for an excuse to leave. Listen, here's the insight that we know. If you were in that group, Farron was pretty damned frequent with his Stan Lee bashing, and he hates the man, and it's fine. We're not here to solve that, but I will say that that particular group, it was an literally everyday occurrence to the point to where Erik had to say something, and I honestly believe that when Erik, and I noticed that same day I'm in that group and I saw it happen. I noticed that day that the constant Stan Lee bashing was addressed, that they unfriended. It was Farron, I believe, who did the unfriending, because I've seen Erik have much bigger disagreements than this and stay friends with people.
Right.
And so, like Todd McFarlane, you know, when him and Todd parted ways on Spawn, they didn't unfriend each other or burn bridges. You know,
Right.
whenever, he even helped Peter David down the road, and their feud was famous. And so it's I don't really think Erik is, out there burning bridges over this petty shit. But I tell you that Farron, unfriended him that day, and they never did. I think, it was never did, get reconciled, you know what I'm saying?
It's because Erik wouldn't come to the point of saying that Stan Lee didn't do anything. And the funny thing is that Erik is the biggest Kirby proponent. And
oh my God!
Farron's take is that Stan Lee doesn't owe any credit, and Eric's take is look, he had to have applauded some of this stuff, and he pointed out different things, saying, look, Stan Lee had a hand in some of it. Not saying that Stan Lee, deserves more than his fair share of credit, but he did do some stuff that is obvious.
Guys, can I tell you?
It just doesn't sit well with a lot of people. And there's a lot of Kirby people and there's a lot of Stan Lee people that are divided, and it doesn't sit well. But I just don't understand, at this point, just having those arguments where you're it's almost like a political argument, It
is. Yeah.
It's like Democrat and Republican, and there's tribes, and people cannot see eye to eye on it.
The fucking crazy thing about that group is that, honest to God, that group is so pro Kirby, it's almost to the point.
It's a Jack Kirby group, what do you expect? It's not a Stan Lee group, it's a Jack Kirby group. But it's just that people cannot recognize that Stan Lee contributed anything. Just seems ridiculous to me.
I just want to paint for the listener the group, because I think it's important to notice that when this falling out happened, you're talking about a group that loves Jack Kirby so much that it is regularly said that he was the pinnacle of comics and literally it'll never get better. It's all downhill. Literally, I see that post every fucking other day. I'm not even joking. So it's important to note that nobody really was shitting on Jack in the least. Right.
It was just giving Stan Lee credit. That was the problem.
What's funny is the tiniest concession. Erik's when he's in that group, the thing he literally says is he's look, who knows? Really, no one knows. But the one thing everyone can agree with is they did their best work together.
Right.
That's the only thing anybody really knows, because no one really knows. And that was a bridge too far. And I'm going to tell you guys, look, here's the thing. This is pure speculation now. I said I'd warn you when I got into speculation town. So this is speculation. I think that is the fucking true, thorn that was the divide right there.
Oh,
and
I agree.
I think that the idea of having to let her now 2 books, because if you look at the timing, Ant was coming out.
Yeah.
I think the idea of having to let her 2 books for this man who he did not like, and then in addition he stated, I don't need to do this when I get work with Marvel and DC, and I'm doing less work and I'm getting better rates. I think he said better rates. And so here's
they don't care as much about how the lettering looks, and if you look at the stuff on the DC stuff, it doesn't look as good, but it's fine, and that's what they want.
What's funny is Farron even said himself, he said it's easier to put an oval around the word balloons for DC than it is to give the, quote, retro style balloons for Savage Dragon. And here's the thing. Can I just say, in defense of retro style balloons, Nate Picos of Blambot, lettering legend in the comic world. If you know Nate, his letters are in every book in the fucking world right now. And he has coined the phrase inflate the balloon. Mm-hmm. And that's all Erik was asking in terms of old retro style word balloons. Is just for the listener, if you don't know what it is, we can articulate it perfectly. To draw an oval just around some word balloons leaves a bunch of dead empty white space, and it covers art unnecessarily. If you quote unquote inflate the balloon, all you're really doing is you're tightening the word balloon around the letters so that it covers minimal art, and that's it.
They come out more squarish, kind of.
They look more squarish, typically. And so it's funny for these to be complaints. Like, when, to me, again, these are just normally aesthetically pleasing things. But, hey, look, man, it's a shame. I think it would be unfair of us to not end this by saying, Farron did say, he was like, look, for whatever it's worth, I enjoyed my time at Savage Dragon. He's like, I did enjoy my work. He was like, and it's nothing personal, it's business. Even though, speculation, I think it is personal. But he says, it's just business. I just can't do all this. I need more money or whatever else. Guys, I know I've been talking a lot, but I'm sorry. I just kind of think, Craig, you said it. In the public court of that Facebook group, it's important to note that pretty much people were super down on Erik, right?
Well, a part of that's because Erik didn't respond either.
Right. But I just wanted to say, I feel like it's fair to drop these insights in there because it's important to note that stuff. 2 hours a page is undoubtedly slow. And knowing this is a tale as old as time. I'm getting paid more to do less. The comics industry's full of that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many guys go on to only do covers because you had a story where he said, like, Dave Johnson said he only does. No, Mark Welser told the story. Said he asked Dave Johnson why he doesn't do interiors anymore, and he's like, interiors are for suckers.
Yeah.
Because he gets paid more to draw a cover, and it's easier.
Well, I think that's what it comes down to. I think there's a few things, but I think it's all right. Well, Farron's getting more work from DC. Yep. It's a little more money, and it's a lot less work. And so, I don't know if I can blame him. I mean, it's business. He's got to make a living, right?
Right.
I do think a little bit. I think he wants Off Dragon because of that. I think this might have been an out because I don't think he really got along with Erik. Like you're saying on the Kirby stuff, it was really contentious on that stuff.
Big time.
And even when he posted on the fan book page, he's like, we didn't have a relationship really outside of just, they didn't have conversations or anything like that.
Right.
I mean, you hear stories between Erik and Chris Eliopoulos. They're good friends, when Erik goes to New York Comic Con, he stayed at Chris's house or whatever, They didn't have that type of relationship. It was just all business. And so, Farron's at this point now has made a name for himself. He's moving on to DC. I didn't think it was necessary to bash Erik like he did. Now, am I saying Erik's an angel? No. I think Erik probably did give him too many pages at too much of a last minute.
Yeah.
And that sucks, And if it keeps doing that, it sucks. I don't know if they had a conversation and Farron was like, look, you can't do this anymore. Or if it was just a blow up at the end, like, this is bullshit. And if that was like a blindsided blow up, maybe Erik didn't realize like he was kind of being shitty by doing that,
Well, like you said, 30 issues. If you're delivering 30 issues and then you have a blow up, it's kind of like, whoa, well, I didn't know it was a problem.
Right, and we don't know that. I mean, maybe Farron maybe kind of said it multiple times and Erik wasn't listening, and if that's the case, well then, shame on Erik. But I don't know. I don't know that. I hear both sides. I see points on both sides.
Right.
But again, it was just kind of a bad taste in my mouth to hear people bashing Erik without Erik kind of chiming in, and the way... I just feel like there's a lot of fans that don't understand how comics work, and I don't completely understand as a fan. But they were just treating it like Erik was some kind of corporate CEO boss and mistreating his workers kind of tone. And it was like, what? I'm like, I don't know if that's really
That was very
correct.
Silly. Yeah, that was very silly. That was very off base. I saw a lot of that. And I just want to say, it's like, dude, when you're dealing with a small book, it's not like a corporation. It's not. It's more like just some friends, like trying to make a fucking thing exist. And
people still have this like idea in their head that Image is like creating the books, like Marvel. You know what I mean? Like it's some big company, and Erik's kind of like the head editor or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what they think, but it just comes off like kind of weird.
I will say that I think there's a lot of misconceptions, and I think that, unfortunately, I don't think that Farron's exit interview, his public exit interview, was 100% fair. I think he actually probably could have easily said that he just didn't like the rush jobs, and that literally would have been enough.
Yeah.
But then he went on to talk about like some of the other stuff, and I was just like, well, I mean, you know, that's comics. Like you're
funny
complaining
because
about things that are...
On the other end, you know, we've definitely seen Larsen air a little bit of dirty laundry, like the fallout with Spawn and stuff like that. So sometimes it's like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be like that yes man, because Erik's definitely kind of probably overshared background stuff. But
well, here's the thing. I just say that I'm never on the side of keep quiet. I think everybody should talk. Like you 100% should talk. And I think that's why I felt like cool going into all this stuff. Because I think the problem in comics, like all comics, not just corporate comics, but like all comics, is that there is way too much like veil of secrecy. There's way too much people not talking. And I think that like you really do owe it, like when you leave, to say something. And like you said, Craig, dude, Erik has blown fucking people's shit up before. Like he doesn't care to like just get into it right there. So, I mean, I think it's fine. I just feel like there was a little bit more to this that was worth talking about. A little bit of stuff to like consider if you want to be truly even-handed. Like you said, it's not like one of those things where it's like any one guy comes out of this smelling like roses. But I also think that like it wasn't 100% accurate of a depiction of things. And I'll also end by just saying that, like, you know, I really don't have anything to say past this point, but it's just that, like, I forgot my final point, bros.
Well, let me jump in then.
Yeah.
I think on the page you said, you know, this sucks, and you know, the book's gonna take a hit. I think, in not so many words, but Erik agreed with you, and he was like, yeah, it does suck. I would say that the Larsen, Delgado, Koutsis, I'm going to butcher Nikos' name, but that team has been one of the best teams that Savage Dragon has had. I mean, we praise Farron's letters, constantly during the show, and I mean, I can't take that away from the guy. The guy is it's digital lettering, yes, but it still looks awesome, and it looks better than most digital letters.
Yeah, that's
on the
important.
Stands, if not all.
Yeah, that's important to say. Like, I 100% want to say, like, I definitely think it's a tremendous loss. I think he's insanely talented. I wish the guy the absolute best of luck, like 100%. And really, I do think he was probably more valued than he realized. Like, I don't think he realized. He said something in a follow-up post about, like, a DC editor sending him a little, like, thank you for all your hard work and shit like that. And he's like, oh, this is how you're treated when you're valued and stuff like that. And it's like, man, I just think that, like, you were probably more appreciated than you realized. Like, we interviewed Erik roundabout the time that Farron came on.
Mm-hmm.
And listeners, if you remember, like, Erik was just gushing about the guy. He was like, you know, this guy is really, like, fantastic. Like, really, like, does that amazing retro style look so well. And, yeah, dude, he'll be missed, like, 100%. And that was just the fucking news. Item 1.
Any other thing to add? Jim, you got anything? Or
nope. Sounds like everything's been covered.
There you go.
All right, so what do we got next? This is exciting to me. I know Raven's pretty excited. I don't know, Jim, if you're so much into these things.
I'm indifferent.
Okay. I'm super into the old school muscle figures from the 80s. If you're 40 years old or older, maybe late 30s, you'll remember the muscle characters, which in Japan, I guess the term's keshi, but the little flesh-colored kind of plastic molded, they don't pose or anything like that. What would you say? They're about like 1.5 inches, 2 inches?
Yes, about like 1.5 to 2 inches tops.
Yeah, so they've kind of been making a comeback with like Super 7 doing like He-Man versions or wrestling versions of them. But the big thing was the Muscle Men, which in Japan's known as Kanikuman. Anyway, Erik Nilla Customs. I assume the guy's name is Erik Nilla.
Yes.
ERICNILLA. He's going to be releasing a bootleg version of Savage Dragon as a Keshi figure. He also has Invincible, the Max, and Spawn in his catalog. And so they're bootlegs. It's not really an official thing, but it's really neat for fans of Muscle or Kinnikuman that like these Keshi figures to just have some of these image characters. So Raven and I are super into it. I collected Muscles when I was a wee tot and had like a ton of them. And I recently found them in my mom's attic, so busted those all out. And when I go to Japan, I like to go, like, they've got, it's huge there, so the Kinnikuman thing is a giant a big deal over there. I've got manga books and tons of cartoons and stuff like that, and so I'm a fan, and it's pretty cool to see someone doing their Savage Dragon version. I mean, I know, Raven, we've always talked about how cool it would be to do like the Savage Dragon universe as kind of like Keshi figures, and at least have Savage Dragon is kind of cool.
It was very validating when you posted this on the group. Somebody like commented, "This is the only way to do Savage Dragon justice," and I was like, "Yes, dude, this is a guy that gets it." Because as we discussed previously, the only way, it was the same thing with Kinnikuman. Kinnikuman has a cast of like hundreds of characters. The only way
they're so wacky, like Savage Dragon characters too.
Yeah. And the only way you'll ever make a toy line with hundreds of characters is to make them small and just crank out a bunch of them. And that's why it's so perfect. The only thing I want to add, you did a fantastic job, basically covered everything, is that Erik Nilla is doing the casting. So he's the one that is like casting these bad boys, but it was actually sculpted by the Rojo. Hold on, I got it. It's the Rojo Toy. That's TheRojoToy. So if you want to take a look at the Spawn, the Max, Invincible, and Savage Dragon, of course, original sculpts. Because as cool as the Keshi are, like, it's cool to see the original sculpts too. So
yeah,
check his Instagram out, the Rojo Toy. Very cool. I don't know, just like you said.
So where you could buy it, and I didn't really state it, is Erik Nilla, ERICNILLA.storenvy.com.
Yep.
And he's right now selling a set of Dragon and Invincible, or you could buy them separate. And also you've got choices of colors, so you can get the flesh color, which is like the typical kind of muscle Kinnikuman, old school. They only came in flesh color to begin with. And then they started releasing them in different colors. But so for Savage Dragon, you can get them in green with like blood splatter. So it's just a green and red kind of poly dye, I guess. Different types of plastic, or the flesh. And I think Invincible is blue with like red splatter or flesh.
Yes, very awesome. Super hyped.
Did you get your own, or you?
I got a green dragon.
You got a green. I had to go with a flesh color just because all my muscle men are flesh, and so I wanted it to fit in with all those. Even though I kind of wanted green because it's dragon, but I felt I had to go like original, old school.
I kind of like, what was funny is I wanted to get the flesh. I was like, man, I gotta go flesh. But then, like, as I started thinking about my childhood, I had a lot of the like multicolor Keshi.
Yeah.
Like I had like the purple. That they did a wave of purple and a wave of like orange and a wave
in
of
muscle
blue.
Or
in muscle.
Toys?
Yeah. And so I kind of was like, you know what? I tried to reach deep down inside. What would young Raven? Because we're talking like, Craig, when I was into this shit, dude, I was in like kindergarten, dude. Like not kindergarten, maybe like second or third tops.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
I think I was in like 5th or 6th or something.
And I think little me would have gone for the green one.
I think Little Me would have if it was available, but like I said, all my original Muscle Men are flesh colors. That's what they're known for, so I stuck with it.
Didn't you find your original collection recently?
Yeah, as I said, my mom's attic. I found all of them. I have I don't know, hundreds or something. I don't know how many they made, but I got a ton of them.
For the listener, he also found the wrestling ring where you can
kind of busted, but
hey, they were busted when they were brand new though, dude. So you would jam those little 2-inch figures and it had a little arm that came up with
pincher,
yeah. You jam them in there, and then you had remote controls, almost like an arcade game.
But just over time, the plastic on those pinchers would just bend, and they just snap off.
What's funny is the whole point of the toy is you were just using this fucking ridiculous contrivance to slam the figures together. So ours broke, dude. The little hooks just broke off, and it could no longer hold the guy. It's so funny.
Ridiculous.
It's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we should move on. We're eating up a lot of time here, but yeah, super stoked about that.
Very stoked.
So our last bit of news is Carnivore Comics at carnivorecomics.com had a limited 300 copy run for the upcoming Ant #1, but it has been sold out before this recording. However, there are super expensive in the $75 to $225 range graded versions, CGC graded versions, with both the Ant title and a non-titled virgin cover. The cover artist is John Gallagher, and the cover itself is an homage to Action Comics #1 with Ant lifting an ice cream truck. I've only just seen this today, and it's kind of interesting.
It's like a painted cover.
Yeah, apparently this artist is most well known for doing realistic paintings of CW show characters like Flash and what have you. And
it's cool to you mentioned that Craig was pointing out take a look at Ant, look at her body, the way he did it. It's very Flash.
Well, it's got a ridge. Well, it's got piping, it's a live action superhero costume.
Right.
In the style of current live action superhero costumes, what this might, instead of being the carapace we see in the comic, it's more like something a real person might wear.
Right.
Although the eyes are a bit odd to me. It's like she's wearing goggles.
Yeah, the headpiece looks like some kind of helmet or something. I think the guy, it says, known for live action shows or doing promotion for that, so he's painting kind of in that style too.
Definitely. I think it's a really kick-ass variant.
Yeah, and it was kind of announced with a little fanfare, at least in the circles I travel, so I didn't find out about it until way late when the 300 run was already kind of sold out. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that there was anyone doing variant covers for Ant 1. I guess Carnivore Comics, from my understanding, kind of specialize in doing these kind of special runs on issues.
Makes sense.
Which we've seen with other companies, right? With that what's the one that did the Savage Dragon green cover for $250?
Oh, I know what you mean. Scorpion.
Specialized. Yeah.
Scorpion or something like that. Well, I'm just goddamn dissatisfied. I wanted all the Ant variants, and now I'm short one.
And now you see your folly?
Mm-hmm.
Do you repent?
You can get
Nope.
You can get a slabbed one for $75 or a signed slab one for $225.
I won't do that.
Nope.
I'll do anything for variants, but I won't do that.
Sooner or later, we'll be fucking around. I'm just
what's up?
I'm just very thrilled. I think there's an energy around Ant #1. I feel like it's just kind of there's an energy building.
I hope so. I mean, it would be nice to see this be very successful for Erik.
Yes, agreed. I think it's cool.
So,
I'm just saying, do this shit.
Should we jump into the mail? We got
Let's
a good amount this time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So last time, well, maybe Craig, you should tell the listeners this.
Sure. So I guess our letters typically tie in with our FINteresting Conversations bit. So our FINteresting Conversations, as you know, is a segment we do where we kind of throw out a question or topic, and we want to get we talk about it, and then we like to get our listeners to chime in and give us their take on it. And you can reach us at SavageFINcast@gmail.com with your responses. So we got 4 letters regarding our last FINteresting Conversation question, which was, if North Force became a regular series, what would be your dream team of creators on the series? And I think we said, you can't throw Erik on it. It's got to be somebody else. And so we got 4 letters, and Jim, you going to start us off on the first one?
Sure. Letter coming in saying, okay, guys, you got me. I'm finally writing in again. You called me out a few episodes ago, and I actually started drafting a letter after such a savage attack on my character, but real life got in the way, and I never finished it. So I'm going to keep this one short and to the point. If we're looking for Canadian writers to take on North Force, and the first person who comes to mind is Jeff Lemire. I'd like to see him take the Black Hammer approach with this book and make it a little different than your standard superhero book. Erik has given him some great material to build on, and I'd love to see what he could do with it. As for artists, I do like Jim's suggestion of Paul Pelletier, as I've been a fan ever since I saw his work on X-Mutants and Malibu. However, one artist I think could really complement Jeff Lemire is Lee Weeks. I'm such a fan of his work, and he could be given free rein to draw the book as he sees fit. I think we could see some real magic. That's it. That's all I've got. But let me just say thanks again for all the work you guys put into the FINcast. It's no exaggeration to say that it is the podcast I most look forward to, and always queue it up as soon as it's released. Keep up the great work. Andrew de Etremont.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to have to double check who Lee Weeks is.
I Googled his art. Let me tell you.
He's an amazing artist.
Pretty damn good.
He's freaking cool. I guess I forgot. I don't know. I don't remember talking about Paul Pelletier on X-Mutants, but I totally remember seeing all the ads for X-Mutants when Image first came out.
Yeah, I'm aware of X-Mutants, but I've never ever actually looked at it.
When
I didn't even know it existed. I was like, what the?
Really?
Yeah.
You've never heard of X-Mutants? The very famous Sega Genesis video game based on the hit comic book?
They did make the game, yeah.
Is this from the Berenstain universe? What are you guys talking about?
Don't worry. I'm on it.
I don't remember that at all, dude.
So X-Mutants were I believe a lot of their ads were in early Image comics. So when Image broke off, when the guys broke off from Marvel and started Image, it was under Malibu to start before they kind of separated from Malibu. And Malibu had X-Mutants and Dinosaurs for Hire and a couple other books. But,
so you've heard of Dinosaurs for Hire?
Right, yeah, exactly. 100%.
I just remember all those ads because they were tied in with all the Image stuff, and it's burned in my memory because it was so exciting when, the Image comics was coming out, And so Malibu was pumping all their books, and they also had the Malibu Insider or whatever, which was their kind of previews type catalog.
Oh my God, Jim. X-Mutants is auto-completed with Sega Genesis when you look for it.
Really?
Yes. You know what this
the
is?
art was always cool and intriguing to me. I was I would look at it.
Wow.
Yeah, when I'm
actually, as I look at the Genesis box art, I'm pretty sure that's Paul Pelletier. He has a particular way of drawing faces.
The art looked great to me as a kid.
Yeah, it looks good now. I'm looking at this now, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is pretty kick-ass, actually. Yeah, Andrew, kick-ass choices, man. I think you got a good creative team here. I think that I would love to see this creative team pump out a North Force book. I think they do a great job.
Well, and Jeff Lemire, he's got his that Sweet Tooth book is a TV show now.
Oh, that's who he is.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know who Jeff Lemire is either? Amazing. Our Raven. Yeah, he's a nuclear fire writer right now.
Yes. Underwater Welder was, I remember that being pretty famous.
Black Hammer is one of the best comics of the last 4 or 5 years.
Didn't you love
Descender too? Jim?
I have not.
No.
I have not read Ascender Descender.
Okay.
It's one of the books I've kept kind of in my back pocket for a rainy day.
Gotcha.
Because I missed so much of it before I realized like I should have been reading it the whole time. So someday I've just got to dedicate a lot of time to it.
Right.
Dear listener, to be fair, Jim thinks every comic he's reading is the best comic of this thing. So I never know. I never know how to do it. You like crossover.
Hey man, that's good. I wish every comic. I felt like every comic.
Yeah, but I don't think crossover is the best comic of the last 4 or 5 years.
So you really think like Jeff Lemire delivered the best comic the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, Black Hammer, absolutely. At least one top 10 contender.
Goddamn, another one to read, I guess.
I don't know if you'd like it. It's very deconstructionist.
It's intellectual.
It's very it plays with tropes a lot. It's hard to describe.
There's nothing wrong with deconstruction work. I like that.
That's through Dark Horse, right?
Yeah, Black Hammer is Dark Horse.
Black Hammer through Dark Horse. Got it.
You wouldn't like it, Raven. It's got too many words.
25-word balloons a page? All right. I'll give it a shot.
All right. Well,
25 and I'm out.
Why don't we jump on to the next letter? So it goes, hello, guys. I've been listening to the FINcast for years. I love it. Thank you for everything you are doing. On the last episode, you asked who would be a good creative team for North Force. Here is my opinion. Andy Kuhn would be great as the artist on the book. I think Nate Bellegarde would be great too. If Erik isn't available / too busy, the writer could be Joe Casey. He is used to writing team books and cosmic stories. Frank Fosco is an amazing artist, but I would prefer to see him work on Powerhouse or Etherian. He goes on to say, Ant will start next month. I'm very interested by it. Last time you seemed to dislike Ant 2's cover. Could you say more about it? Since Savage Dragon 242, we know that Erik wants to use conspiracy theories with Ant stories. Erik is not a conspiracy theorist, obviously, and seems to want to have fun with these weird stories in the new Ant volume. We shouldn't forget that he is thinking about Ant for years. A decade now? ? So I think we should not worry about what is to come. I'm sure it will be fun. Can't wait for Savage Dragon 260 and the new episodes of the FINcast. Take care. M.U.S.C.L.E, France. Sweet, we got a listener in France.
I just want to say there's a place in France where the naked ladies dance, and if you know where that is, Mail, please let me know. I need to know where the hole in the wall where the guys can see it all is.
You're fucking crazy, dude. Where do you come up with this shit?
Just, my brain.
My brain.
I don't remember hating Ant number 2's cover. I think it looks pretty cool.
I was concerned about it. It was primarily me.
You're the culprit.
Yeah.
Debbie Downer over here.
Wah, wah.
What was? Oh, was it because it was the like?
And all the Middle Eastern looking people on it.
So I'm going to go one out and say I think you're problematic, Jim.
Sure.
I think those are just guys with beards. We'll see.
I think I have an answer to that, and I'll talk about it in the meat and potatoes.
Ooh, nice.
I think I understand why it's there.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay, I think, although I don't know the context, I think I know the reason.
Does Ant go to Beard Island?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think that Nate Bellegarde is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Andy is fucking great too. I'm just saying, like, if I'm flipping that coin, I'm, I'm happy either way. Geez, but like, I don't know. Like, I kind of want like Nate to do more work. I feel like he doesn't get like enough work out there, and so it's like, yeah, dude, put him on a North Force book any day of the fucking week. His Image X, his Skybound X cover, beautiful.
I actually got a commission of him with Super Patriot and Savage Dragon. I told him to do whatever he wanted. Yeah, Super Patriot on the shitter with Savage Dragon like busting through the wall. It's actually pretty funny.
I've seen it. It's fantastic.
He's got a wicked sense of humor. I think the one thing... Do you remember Nowhere Men when he was on that?
Mm-hmm. I didn't read it, but I do. I remember.
It was him and Eric Stevenson, and I think he
Yes.
kind of had... I don't think he could, like... think he had just issues where he couldn't get stuff done, and they kind of moved on. So I think he has trouble kind of keeping a typical comics pace.
Which
No
book?
big deal, though.
Which book was that?
Nowhere Man.
Nowhere Man?
Oh, Nowhere Man. Yeah, okay.
Which his art was fucking incredible on. I wish he would have stuck with it. Like, he did Adam Eve too, right? For Invincible.
He did.
Yeah.
I think he did the
the
first one. I don't.
Explode.
He had a few one shots that were mostly the backups from the Image Comics run, as well as some original stuff. I forget the name of it off the top of my head.
So if he was more regular, he would be in like my top 10 favorite artists.
Absolutely, dude. But here's the thing.
Hectoplasm. And I was wrong. He did both Adam Eve and Rexplode.
Yeah. Good ones. Those are good. Look them up,
Yeah.
dear listener.
Oh, we're dumb. He did Stealth.
Oh, yeah, baby.
He just did the recent Stealth.
Yeah.
Stealth was so goddamn good. I just cried
It
every
was.
page. I was like, oh, it's so good.
Which I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why he didn't do the covers either, but whatever.
Yeah, they dropped the ball by not having him on the covers, too.
But it was Jason Howard on covers. I think it's because
who's good,
I'm
but-
pretty sure Jason Howard co-created the character. Which
I know, and
I-
Jason
that way.
kicks ass, too. Like, this is the hard thing. All these guys are incredible.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
Kirkman's got a knack for finding fucking great artists.
He sure damn does, dude. You know they call him Hillbilly Midas.
Hillbilly Midas.
He's just got that golden touch, dude. Just,
If we ever interview Kirkman, I'm going to call him Hillbilly Midas. I'm just
you
going to
know, it's funny.
him.
I associate him with comedy because he seems like always a really hilarious guy. But,
Yeah.
like, knowing my luck, you'd be like, how do you...
You just piss him off.
Yeah, Craig would say, how do you feel about the title you've earned as Hillbilly Midas? And he'd just be like, God damn it, and disconnect. Like,
Fuck you guys.
well, what do I think about it? I think this fucking interview's over. And just leaves.
It's a pretty good Kirkman impression.
Thank you. I pride myself on my Robert Kirkman. Someone
I
saying,
agree with Joe Casey. I think Joe Casey's pretty wild. His run on Youngblood a while back was pretty fun.
his Glory, I still say, is one of
Yeah.
the best fucking comics of the
No.
last 4 years.
Wait, Glory?
Yeah, I'm teasing with the 4 years. Yeah, remember, didn't Joe Casey do Glory?
No, Joe Keating.
Joe Keating.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You
record
motherfucker.
scratch.
The last Joe Casey book I remember reading was New Lieutenants of Metal.
Lieutenants of Metal.
I got the first issue of that, and then I don't think it lasted long, right?
It completed its run. It was only a miniseries.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it ran like 5
No.
or 6 issues. I
Maybe
don't know.
just
I don't
never
know
got
if
past
I
issue
didn't.
one.
I didn't love it, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I love Joe Casey's Godland with Tom Scioli.
Yep.
I like Lamp.
Well, it's fine, dude. I think
Is it
I agree.
fine?
Yes, I agree with Mail's choices. I think he's got a very kick-ass selection here of talent
Indeed.
lined up, and I appreciate you writing in, good sir.
All right, so I got one more letter here. Well, not one more letter, but one more from me. Salutations, gentlemen. Here's a quick couple picks from my dream creative team for North Force #1. You heard it here first. Due to popular demand, North Force #1, written by Jim P. What, me? Co-plotted by the third Olsen twin, Craig. Okay. And art by the ravishing Raven Perez. I'm sure we'd sell 1,000 of them. Laughing my ass off. Come on, guys. Make it happen. Seriously, though, put Daniel Acuna on art duties and writing chores by Kurt Busiek. I think Acuna could pull off some interesting action-heavy renditions of these Canucks. I picked Busiek because he did a fantastic run on Thunderbolts and seems to handle the Avengers. Handle the Avengers well back in the day. P.S. Raven, I saw that awesome jam art you did featuring a bevy of characters, including Malcolm and Ant. Super dope image, especially your rendition of Ant. I'll be down to see if you try out the art duties on that book for sure. Or an Ant variant cover at the least. As usual, great job on the latest cast, and I look forward to some more retro content in the Savage Dragon Freak Force and some of the other miniseries. Blood and Guts, Super Patriot. And that's by Tony M. He's right. we should do North Force #1.
I agree. Let's just do it, guys.
As long as I can be the co-plotter.
I mean, I don't know if we play to each other's strengths.
You're not going to write me some big boobs to draw?
I mean, I'm more the thoughtful, philosophical deconstructionist, and you're more the tits and violence.
Listen, you want this thing to sell more than you want this to sell 1,001 copies?
I'm more thoughtful, he said, and you're an asshole.
That's exactly what he said. I'll have you know that is accurate, and the fact that I am unable to defend it wounds me deeply.
I try, guys.
Craig, you can work the mustache.
Can I twiddle it?
I'm not going to name names, but like there was an artist I saw once, and he was just really shitting his britches over why he didn't get work. And I was wanting to tell him so bad. Everything he drew, everything was a screaming guy. Like they were going goddamn Super Saiyan on every panel. And I just want to tell him and be like, you know why you don't get work? Because I can never imagine your drawing of like a grieving mother or a guy petting a dog. Like, you just don't have range, dog. Everyone you draw is like fucking Goku going Super Saiyan. Can you hand me that pencil? Like, you know, you gotta have range.
Kirby crackle coming out of the eyes.
Yes, rage and fury on every illustration. Why can't I get work? I don't know, because writers want to write thoughtful, what'd you say, Jim? Introspective?
Philosophical deconstructions, yes.
Guys,
so
should I be Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, your version of North Force #1 begins with like a soliloquy.
No, it's more like... It's like, okay, you got a Canadian super team, all right?
Yeah.
All right, here we are. You got a Canadian super team who, in our mind, is on the same level as like the Avengers or the Justice League.
Sure, okay.
But like, what is that kind of responsibility, especially when all these characters also have secret identities?
Okay.
It's not really...
How can I like shoehorn big boobs into that?
Good question.
That'll be easy.
So I have not actually read anything drawn by
Daniel Acuna.
I haven't even. The book I thought I read that it was drawn by. I mean, only did the covers on.
I was just gonna ask if I'm like an idiot for not knowing who he is, because I looked it up and his art is tremendous, but I've never read a comic by him.
I guess he drew the Eternals with who is this? Oh, okay. So no, I thought this was the Gaiman one. No, it's not. It's the other one.
Yeah, he's an absolute badass, this guy.
He's got a kind of a, just at a glance, he's got kind of a realism style thing going on. It kind of reminds me of like, they kind of reminds me of like how Adam Hughes draws, or colors rather.
Sure. I get it. I could see that comparison. There is some photo referencing.
But I mean like the rendering. It's not the referencing, it's just the way the colors are rendered. Yeah.
No, dude, listen, that's good.
He reminds me of Eric Powell, if Eric Powell from the Goon did more like serious superhero stuff instead of like the goofier Goon stuff in terms of the textures and the drawings of the art.
Can you imagine him now that you've seen his art, and dear listener who has Googled this, can you imagine how badass his North Force work would be? Ooh, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah, no, it would... I'm going to look more into him because his art is tickling my fancy. And by fancy, I mean fancy.
I was like 60-40 you were going to say ding-a-ling.
Yeah,
could you?
I was just going to say dick.
Tickling your dick. Listen, Tony, thank you for writing in. We appreciate the hell out of it. I appreciate your compliments on that jam art. Thank you, kind sir. As for doing an Ant variant cover, I don't think Eric's going in the ass direction. If I did with Ant, I don't think he's really playing that up. And so I don't know if he wants me on covers, but I do appreciate that. Our last letter comes from an old chum of mine. Hello, fellow Finheads. I'm a fairly new listener, maybe 2 years now. Wait a minute. God damn it, how dare he? An ex-friend of mine? Are you kidding? 2 years? What? Oh my god. I have been following Savage Dragon for the last 5 years now, but I bought issue 1 off the shelves in '92. But I have the archives. That's 2 buts. I enjoy the current run, and I love Erik's cartooning. I'm an old friend of Raven as well, but down to brass tacks. North
Name
Force.
drop.
Big time, dude. He just totally used that to slide up in the club. My creative team is. The writer would be Jason Aaron. He has a great world-building ideas and lots of action. See the Goddamned from Image and his old Wolverine run. Art chores. Love to see Andy Kubert with Danny Meeke on inks. Kubert can handle a team. His rendering is amazing. His old X-Men stuff is awesome. When he did Origin and switched to DC, he just got better, and you cannot fuck with this man. Danny Meeke is a straight solid inker and would make Andy's pencil sing to us. The style of the book I would want would be first story arc to be the team meeting up for a briefing, then bam, interdimensional beings appear in Vancouver and start fucking shit up. North Force responds with a big fight, huge double-page spreads. Then when the smoke clears, they return to the base, debrief, and go to chill. Go out to the next call. P.S. Sorry if I missed the animated question. I'd love to respond to it if it's not too late. James Big Jim Sheehan.
Big
Thank
Jim.
you, Big Jim. I gave him that nickname. Let me tell you everything you need to know about Big Jim.
When did you give him that nickname?
In college. Everything you need to know about this man. James
Fancy
Sheehan.
times in college.
No, this is a great story. We're at a party, and he is fucking bombed out of his mind, right? He's standing there. He's got a cup of beer and a cigarette in his other hand. He starts to waver, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. I'm like, Big Jim, you okay? You okay? And he just fucking falls backwards. I mean, fucking tits to God, feet up above his head backwards. Don't you know? He didn't drop one drop of that beer. And he
It's a man's man.
And he didn't drop his cigarette either.
That's a man's man. Now I understand why they call him Big Jim.
That's it. So that's all you need to know. Thank you for reading Savage Dragon, Big Jim. Thank you for, your North Force recommendations. Guys, you got any feedback? I know Kubert, man. You can't go wrong with Kubert. Get out of here.
This sounds expensive.
Yeah.
I like Jason Aaron on Scalped, and, the funny thing is, I think he's a goddamn great writer because I love Southern Bastards, and I have no interest in high school football or college football, for that fact, but Southern Bastards is basically about, centers around a high school football team in the South, which on paper I'd have no interest in, but the comic was fucking good. I wish it continued. It kind of just left hanging, but
I'm glad you said that, dude, because I was going to, get into that at some point. Ooh, save me one.
He did write and architect, one of my favorite, Marvel books of this year. Mm-hmm. And that was the Hero is Reborn event, where basically he took all of the Marvel universe and recontextualized it to be DC.
Oh, that was him.
He
okay.
He didn't write all the spin-offs, because the premise is that Mephisto has somehow made the Squadron Supreme like the heroes of the planet Earth, and the Avengers never formed, and so all of the non-Avengers characters kind of get recontextualized as DC characters. Like Gwen Stacy becomes Batgirl and shit like that. And it's fucking brilliant. It's perfect. I love it. So yeah, he's on my radar.
nice.
Danny Meeke. Give me something Danny Meeke did.
He was he inked a lot of the original, I think Youngblood type stuff, right?
Did he now?
I think he was in the Extreme Studios.
Sadly, I don't follow inkers very closely to have any idea.
Ooh, he's good, though. If you Google it, it's ooh.
I'm sure he's grown a lot, but I'm pretty sure he was in on the ground level with, Extreme Studios.
I see him on Capullo's Batman, and that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, he's a comic book art. He began his career in '92 working for Image as inker and the title Youngblood. So that's where I know him mostly. I don't know a lot of his recent stuff, but yeah, he was like one of the original Extreme Studios inkers.
Still out there, still kicking around. Awesome.
Sure
Thank you,
stuff
letter
got a lot
writers.
All right, so shall we talk about our newest FINteresting Conversation topic?
Let's.
Apparently, most recently, one of his more recent things, he was inking Frank Miller on the DC Black Label Superman series, Superman Year One.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know. Anyway, what were you saying?
The new FINteresting Conversation topic. So, for the listeners, for you guys, we got a 2-part question, which I think for us we'll answer mostly in our meat and potatoes main segment because it has to do with Ant 12, which we're going to review. But for our 2-part question for the listeners is, number 1, for Ant, do you think Erik should have skipped issue 12 and started with issue 1? And number 2, based on issue 12, if you read it, will you be picking up issue 1? Or if you didn't buy issue 12, will you still be picking up issue 1? And we want to know why or why not. So just interested in your hot take on issue 12. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Based on this, are you going to go for the ongoing at issue 1? Drop us a line with your response and feel free to suggest your own FINteresting Conversation topic. You can reach us at SavageFINcast@gmail.com. So once again, do you think that Ant should have just started at 1? Do you think Erik, it was worth it for Erik to kind of close up the original series at 12? And will you, based on 12, will you continue to pick it up? So I don't think we should answer this right now because we got a lot to talk about 12, and I think we should kind of hit these questions up as we discuss this. But I'm looking forward to getting into this. This is some new, different stuff that we've been waiting for a while.
Yeah, man, long time. Let's get on into those meat and potatoes, my dudes. I think what's interesting is as long as we've been waiting for this, Ant fans have been waiting for issue number 12 of Ant for 15 years.
Yeah, so 11 came out in 2007.
Yeah. By contrast, those of us who have been waiting for Erik to do something with Ant have only been waiting since 2017. So we've only been waiting.
Still a goddamn long time.
Yeah, that's 4 years, but I'm just saying it's 4 years to ours. They've been waiting more than 3 times as long for this closure. And so it's kind of cool. We got 2 covers. We got the Mario Gully cover where Hannah's just ripping her shreds, and then you got the Erik Larsen cover.
Where Ant and Daredevil are jumping to their deaths.
I think the Mario Gully cover is cool in the way that he used the original Ant logo in Mario's art, so it fits seamlessly with the rest of the series.
I want to talk about that, the logo choice.
Uh-oh. Lay it on us.
So
you got opinions.
So you're right. The Gully cover does fit seamlessly in with the rest of the series. Now, granted, let me preface all this. I don't give a shit about Ant. Sure. I've never given a shit about Ant. I don't know if I give a shit about Ant now, even after reading this issue.
Ooh.
Right.
But you know what I do care about? Trade dress continuity.
Do you?
So having the original Ant logo on the Gully cover makes sense. Mm-hmm. Looks good. Okay. Looks good, and for those who care, it will match, the rest of your issues. Great, fantastic, wonderful. The new the new Ant logo that Erik has put on this issue, while it does look good because Erik makes good logos, if this is the issue 12 of a previous series, why not use the old logo for this final issue and debut this logo on the first issue of the new series? Now, there may be an answer to that hidden at the end of this issue.
Sure, I know where you're going.
But for me, this is like a Supreme revival situation, where when Erik drew that last issue. Erik and
Corey
Hampshire drew that last Alan Moore script. They went out of their way to put the original Supreme logo on that issue because it tied up that run. And then the very next issue, he debuted a new logo for his take on the character.
Completionists.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't have minded if it had the old style logo on the Erik cover. Because I think it makes more sense, being the 12th issue of the series.
I feel like if you wanted that, you'd get the variant.
But I like Erik's art better.
Well, you can't always get what you want.
No.
Yeah. Piss in one hand and wish in the other and see which fills first. Quick question, Jim. As I know your commitment to digital is unwavering.
It is.
However, Craig, I believe you have a physical copy in your hands, as do I. Mm-hmm. As you look at the Mario Gully ant logo, does there not appear to be a visible moire effect on it?
It was probably a case
it's not.
It's very likely it was the same problem with Supreme, where they didn't actually have a high-res version of the logo, which is probably why he didn't use it.
I'm just saying, recreate that.
It's not a great logo, honestly, though.
I
don't see him wanting to use that on his cover.
Right.
Still, though, recreate. Like, just go in there,
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was the same situation on Supreme, where they wanted to use that logo, but they didn't actually have a high-res clean version, so they had to just crop it out of another cover and slap it on and up-res it.
I don't love it. I like the cover. Actually, unlike you, James, I don't hate Mario's art at all. I think it looks cool.
Sorry, I don't hate it. It just does nothing for me.
You don't like a woman ripping her clothes to tatters?
I mean...
What, aren't you a red-blooded young man?
I mean...
You an American? I'm teasing. You don't have to like this. That's fine.
Erik is just so much better.
I do like Erik's stuff. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And, hey, if we got to make them fight in a wrestling ring where we jam them into claws and slam them together, I'll take Erik's any day of the week. That's fine. I still like this one, though. I think Mario, there's a good look to his style, and I think it's a cool, eye-catching cover. Craig, your opinions?
Yeah, I like both cover. Like I said, I like the fact that Mario drew the variant so that if you are a Mario fan, you get kind of that closure with his cover. He even went out of the way to make like the little image box the same exact look. I like the Erik cover better. I love the ant logo that Erik uses. Mm-hmm. I don't mind so much that it doesn't continue like that. I mean, honestly, this kind of bleeds into the FINteresting Conversation topic. I think it is a little weird that Erik has these kind of things where he needs to close out old series, but and we can talk about a little bit about the hint he dropped in the letters column at the end as we talk about it, like how this issue 12 will factor into his ongoing series, which is a bit weird to me too.
Yeah,
I think it's, I don't know, the lettering's cool. I think that people that are fans of Ant might be turned off by Erik's version because it goes so old school looking.
Have either of you heard anything from old Ant fans?
No.
Not really, but I'm not in the same circles as them.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the only place I've ever run into an Ant fan is on Mario's page. Like when I look at Mario's stuff. And so I've not heard one way or the other how old Ant fans feel. Hey, I'd love to hear. If you're an Ant fan from way back and you're also a Finhead who listens to the FINcast, send us that SavageFINcast@gmail.com feedback. A little bonus FINteresting conversation. Like, tell us how you feel about this. But no, I haven't heard anything.
How do you guys like the new logo?
It's big.
I wish...
It's big.
I wish that it had a bit more style.
It is.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's the old Thor logo, right?
Yeah, just the kind of broken letters
with a drop shadow. I mean,
yeah,
it is classic, but it does.
I like it. I feel like it punches you in the face. Like you see, it's huge, but I think that's the charm of it.
Well, I wish, you know what I'm saying when I say style is, I'm just saying, like, I look at Freak Force's logo,
Yeah,
and like how it's kind of cool. It's like a physical shape that occupies
Yeah.
three-dimensional space. And
Right.
Savage Dragon's logo is also a physical object that occupies three-dimensional space. And then Ant's logo is just flat. And I just kind of wish, when I say that it had style, I wish that Ant had a logo that occupied, like, it had kind of like a design, the way Freak Force and Savage Dragon's logo kind of have a design.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like this logo looks good. I don't have any problem with it at all. It's definitely better than the old logo, for sure. I just don't love it. I just, I think...
It's weird because it screams old school, and Ant is as far away from old school looking character as you could get.
Yes. I guess what I would say is I think there's a weird juxtaposition between just Ant's visual, which, like you said, not old school at all. And then you see that Ant logo, and you're just like, whoa, that is like some classic comic-looking shit right there.
Yeah, but it's fucking eye-catching as hell to me.
I will say that on the stands, it jumps out immediately.
Right.
So maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
So
Before we get off of cover duty, sorry.
I want to talk about the image eye real quick.
Oh, please do.
So last time on the Savage FINcast, I think after we went off the air, we got into a discussion about the image eye on this cover, on the Erik cover. Well, not just on this cover, but all the Ant. Actually, we may have talked about it in the news last time, now that I think about it. I mentioned that there was something about the image eye logo on all these Ant covers that was screwing with my head. It reminded me of something, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Mm-hmm. So, the image eye, the reason why it makes me think of old school Image comics is because it has the 12 in a box directly under the eye. Because all the original Image comics look like that. At some point, a lot of them stopped doing that, and even Savage Dragon doesn't do that. It has the number on the other side of the cover.
On the right side, the big number.
A big number, exactly. And that's why it was messing with my head, is I couldn't figure out...
And the price, I think, right?
Yeah, and the price is in the price box, yeah. Yeah, and the price is... On Savage Dragon currently, the price is in somewhere else on the cover.
Yeah, this looks like the 90s kind of Image.
Yeah,
box.
exactly. And that's what was... That is what was... So it's interesting to me to see that specific style of image eye plus issue number plus price.
I think because it just wouldn't fit well with this huge logo now.
That's got to be the reason, yes. Yep. It's too big.
That's what she said.
I'm pretty disappointed that the second print Erik Larsen cover, I think, is a stronger cover than the first print.
Really?
I like the first print better, but I do like the second one.
I'm just going to say it. I think that the Ant butt pose is way more iconic.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
I think that Erik should have absolutely put an Ant butt pose on the cover of Ant number 12.
At least for the old school fans, right?
100%. Are you kidding me? Like, Ant's butt is her trademark. So it's like, before I think any other comic characters were really working the butt, like maybe fucking, what's his name, Dick Grayson? He was working the butt. Other than Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson? Who?
Was it like Dick Grayson? Who's Nightwing?
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So he's talking about the character, not an artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an artist named Dick Grayson?
No, that's what I think. That was the confusion.
By what you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Nightwing's ass is legendary.
Yes. So other than Nightwing and Ant, those are your two ass comic characters, right? And I just feel like, man, the first print people got robbed because the iconic Ant ass pose is totally represented on the second reprint, not represented at all on either the Arson or the Mario pose on issue 12. Kind of a drop ball, just my opinion.
But Erik has definitely gotten rid of some of the ass.
For sure.
which I think is kind of funny.
Yep, he de-assed her. He dis-assed her. Get it? Dis-assed her.
So, Erik, for the inside cover, which is surprising, used the Mario Gully art from the cover of issue 11.
Yes.
And he also still has the Josh Eichhorn jabs, which is fun.
Does that mean we're getting double the Josh Eichhorn jabs? Love it.
It is pretty cool that Erik's maintaining the ant created by Mario Gully at the bottom. That's a nice touch for Mario.
Yeah, very nice. Like, respectful kind of a... And it's cool if you think about it. Like, you see Batman, it's like Batman created by Bob Kane. You know? Fucking Superman created by those guys that made him. And it's just like... It's kind of cool that, like, Mario gets that little, like, forever credit there. So what do you guys think of this double page splat? This second cover of sorts, The Answer.
I like it. I think it's cool. I always love Larsen skeletons. They're just
I was thinking that. I was thinking that skeleton. Keep hanging there, skeleton.
Yes, dude, I love it.
I guess his name was Charlie. I don't know Charlie.
Charlie Bones.
No. So you guys want me to give you the 5-minute background on that based on the previous series?
Please do.
All right. So, starting with issue 10 of The Ant, it introduces us to the superhero called Charlie Echo, who is kind of like the Captain America type super soldier style character.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Mario's last issue was 11, so 10 comes. Basically, Erik talks about this at the end of this issue 12, but throughout Ant's history on the Image series, the first, 11 issues, it kind of goes back and forth about different origins, and, he's had 4 or 5 different writers on this, and they're all writing over each other. And the kind of confusing, irritating thing about Ant is that she doesn't know her origin, and it keeps like being like, no, that's not really it, it's this, and it's like, nope, that's not really it. And so she's like, it's got all these false memories and stuff, and I guess it's whatever new writer comes along and wants to write out whatever the last person did, they're doing it. So in issue 10, what we see is that this super soldier guy approaches Ant in her apartment and is like, basically like, follow me, I'm going to tell you about yourself, like what your real origin is, but we got to get out of here because all these like agents are coming in to grab you soon. So in issue 10, they kind of jump through her apartment and down into the sewers, which kind of sets up this 12. But in issue 10 is where they get into the sewer, and then issue 11 is him kind of talking to her. Oh, you were on a super team. What were they called? Omega 1, which I guess had their own spin-off series. And you were on that team when you were young, and we fought in Baghdad, which this is kind of what I talked about in that FINteresting conversation letter, is that cover we see in Ant 2 that Erik drew. I believe that's kind of ties in with her backstory, because in issue 11 they talk about her on the super team as a youngster going into Baghdad and fighting, I don't know who, but something on behalf of the United States.
So it's not Beard Island. Fuck.
No. So this Charlie Echo guy is in the sewers with her, and they're getting chased down by all these kind of government agents. And you can see on the cover of Ant 10 these agents in the sewer that are chasing them or whatever. They're like firing on them and stuff, and as they're running, he's basically filling her in on her backstory of how she was on this team. And then that's when we kind of cut to this issue 12, where I think Erik kind of alluded to Mario not owning that Charlie Echo guy. I think the writer at the time owned him on that Omega 1, because that was its own comic. And so I think that's where Daredevil takes his place.
Right.
So on that
Charlie
first
gets
panel,
killed immediately.
Charlie is fried. So that's his skeleton getting fried. And now he's out of the picture.
Nice. Fuck you, Charlie.
So basically the gist of it is like most of the Ant series you don't really have to read because it's all just adventures and she's getting fed like bad information on her origin and it's all getting rewritten and changed. And then I would say starting in issue like 10 is where Charlie comes in and it ties into this issue 12.
I'm glad that you had that insight because, not gonna lie, even though it wasn't one of those things where it's like, I'm just struggling. Like, I didn't struggle. Reading this, I didn't struggle. Like, it was fine. It was just like, clearly it's a story picking up in the middle of a story, so it's no big deal. I mean, it's numbered number 12. Like, I expected that. I was prepared for it.
Right.
That being said, my God, man, that is some good, like, meta to know. Like, it's good to know. And kind of like you said, it's neat for the reader that Erik included all those covers because you can flip back and see Charlie on the cover of, like, 10. And, yeah, he's on the 2. Apparently 10 had 2 variants. And, like, there he is. So it's kind of cool.
Right, and you can see in 10 they're in the sewer, and she's got her hands on top of some of these agents in the sewer water. It's kind of hard to make out. If you had the full issue, you could see it a little better. But, yeah, and you know, same thing with, like, some of those characters in issue 8 and or cover issue 9, that's that Omega 1 team.
Got it. Wow, dude. I mean, it's kind of funny. The meta here is that, like, Ant is, you know, confused because her mind's just not been right. She's been fed a lot of misinformation.
Right.
But it's also hilarious because Erik's absolutely paying heed to the fucking constant retcons. Like,
right, and that's what this series was. It's just ridiculous, the retcons. And the funny, so it's nice. I mean, she's in the sewer. She's about to get told her origin because that's how it kind of breaks up on issue 11, and then this Charlie guy gets fried. So she's running from these agents. She thought she was going to learn her background, and now she's just on the run.
Got it. Yeah, that context actually is nice. I do like it. Feeling really good about the action here. Like, I like this issue opening with such action. Like, it's really cool to see Erik, like, taking this in. And again, these classic giant Erik Larsen guns that these guards have been given.
Yep.
Love them. You love to see them. Anytime you can see them, you love to see them. But then what's great is just as I was kind of just a little in my head being like, I swear to you, was thinking as I was reading this, I was like, you know, Erik, probably people don't want to just see Ant beating up regular dudes. That's a little boring. I flipped the page, and there's these goddamn flying octopus heads. With
these MODOK octopuses.
Yeah, dude.
Octopi.
And I was like, you know what? I'll shut my fucking mouth and just read this comic. Awesome. So, it's kind of cool, man. I'm saying, like, it's funny to, like, just this is a pretty good start to a comic. Like, I have this, literally, I have no exposure to Ant. This is my exposure to Ant.
I think it's a totally different animal under Mario, so it's like a new character almost, in a way.
Right. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like, so it's I want you guys to think about how crazy this is. This is like think about it. Like, what other first, like, Erik Larsen number 1s has there been in, like, almost 30 years?
Right, that are ongoing or just a new character.
Right. Like, he hasn't had to do this in a long fucking time.
It's a weird thing, too. Like, I would have never expected Erik to buy someone's character and make a comic out of it. It's weird to me that he did that.
Well, yeah, like, let me just agree, like, totally fucking weird. Like, as soon as I learned, like, as a guy who didn't know shit about Ant other than she was, like, the second ass character in comics, that's literally all I knew about Ant. Is just, like, she had ass, she was sitting in Spawn's lap. That's literally it. That's all I knew about Ant. And, to learn that Erik, when I first learned that Erik bought Ant, I was like, what the it was the biggest, like, record scratch what the fuck moment. But, man, didn't he explain that he kind of was, like, way more instrumental in Ant's formative years than anybody would have known or imagined?
Right. When you look at this double-page splash, just look at the inks on this. Like, on the left-hand page, the inks on her foot and stuff, they're pretty wild.
Yeah. He spent a long time, like, going back and forth about, like, how to handle the rendering.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool.
Testing it on Savage Dragon and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, he put it out there in public for everybody to see. Like things he was looking at, like, give him inspiration and stuff.
It's got to be kind of it's a simple character, but it's a difficult character when it comes to, like, the lighting and, like, so, like, you got the black inks and you got the kind of the shiny white lighting.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's kind of difficult to kind of, I don't know, get that look. Maybe I'm not an artist, so you tell me if I'm wrong, Raven, but I'm looking at, like, this splash and, like, just the way he nails kind of the glossiness of the character's look is pretty cool.
It is difficult. It's real easy to lose a character's, like, shapes, like, by, like, you overshoot your black and you just, like, sort of bury the character's, like, form and definition. And what's kind of really awesome and really impressive is that if you look at what he's done, like, it's, clearly there's a lot of scribbly, like, energy in that, like, sort of, like, glossy, like, rendering that he's put on her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got form and definition on her abs.
Right.
You can see her nose as it pokes through her mask.
Yeah,
and
I feel like I feel like it could easily just turn into a big mess if you didn't know what you were doing.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Like, I'm looking at the face and the forehead, and I'm like, if I attempted that, it would just become a disgusting mess.
Yeah, it's actually, like, really kind of, like, impressive just how good Ant looks. Like, you instantly realize why he wanted to pick this character up, because, like, he's just making this fucking look great.
Yeah. I do wish, and I know the reason why, but I do wish things were a little tighter on the rest of the characters in the book.
Sure.
Like, for instance, on the splash, like, the MODOK type characters are really rough. And I feel like that's going to be a turnoff for a lot of readers.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish he would tighten that stuff up. I mean, his backgrounds look very sketchy. I like it in a way that I know what he's going for, but I just fear that, the overall market, that's going to hurt.
I think what's rough is that I feel like your Mario Golly fans are there for hyper-rendering.
Yeah.
He's very much a hyper-rendering McFarlane-style artist.
Right.
And I feel like the minute they see this, they're going to be checked out.
I agree.
And I don't feel it's bad at all. I think it's fucking awesome. I can admit that I went from, like, initially, like, I had reservations big time. I was like, oh no, dude, like, he's not going to fully render it. Like, I don't know if the market will accept that. And then now that I see it, I think it's fucking great, but I just feel like it's kind of like one of those things that, like, Joe Blow. I mean, here's the thing: is it's hard to get a gauge, right? Because if you look at, like, Twitter reactions, people are shitty about, like, Savage Dragon stuff that I think looks fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then you bring on Ant. Ant is even less rendered, and I kind of wonder. Or not wonder, but I fear that it's just going to be negative. I don't think they're going to give it a chance.
Right.
And he's coloring it too, right?
I would imagine, but I don't know.
I think Eric's credited as.
It's produced by Erik Larsen.
So it's just flats by Mike Torres, who does flats on Savage Dragon.
It says story art and color. So the thing is,
Mike's doing the flats, and he's probably coloring the rest of Ant.
I think that it looks. I think part of this is one of those things where I think, like, you have to take into consideration. There's, to me, artistically speaking, absolutely fantastic compositions. Like when
no doubt.
include color. Like I'm saying, like the visual of Ant as she is punching all those soldiers, and the background is yellow, and she's in the foreground red, and all the soldiers are green. I'm just saying that, like, that's some fucking really awesome stuff, and the color's part of it. So
Right.
it's kind of like everything's intentional here. Like none of this is like a lazy, none of this is accidental. Like it's all like artist's intent. I don't know. I feel like me and you are saying a lot. Jim, throw out some opinions here, my man. How are you feeling about this?
I like the shading and the shiny.
Or maybe not saying
How do I put this? Okay, so I don't know anything about Ant, and I found that this issue was pretty easy to follow. I think by design.
Sure.
I have always had no problem starting books mid-run.
Mm-hmm.
So I can infer a lot from context, and I think Erik does an okay job of providing that context. All I really knew about Ant going in was that her origins were convoluted, and that Erik liked the character enough to buy her, and he likes drawing her. And I think that's what this is all about.
Right. I mean, she's a very Spider-Man-like character in many ways.
Well,
with her
she's
poses.
Spider-Man-esque in pose, and she's Carnage-esque in color, in a costume rather, which is I think why she's somewhat like got a good iconic look. But yeah, basically he can kind of do his Spider-Man thing with this character a lot easier than he can with Malcolm or Dragon.
Right.
But I think
It's funny that like Star does exist.
not really anymore. No.
I'm just saying, like, if you really wanted to do,
I mean, Daredevil
Spider-Man
exists
thing.
too, and you see Daredevil doing Spider-Man stuff here too.
right?
I find it interesting with Daredevil's costume because you get the contrast with his non-shiny red side, but you see his more velvety blue side. So like
Velvety.
if you just added the highlights, you'd get the same shiny effect as you do on Ant, but without them, it looks like a completely different like material.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you want me to say here? It's an Erik Larsen comic, and it kicks ass.
Well, no, I was just sort of wondering how you're feeling about like the experiment beforehand versus when you actually had it in your hands.
I guess I didn't think about it in those terms.
You weren't too worried about it.
No, not even a little bit. I mean, it is weird that he was so, I guess, obsessed with getting the final issue 12 out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because that seemed to be like a big part of it, is that he originally wanted to work with Gully to complete it. That fell through, but he still felt the compulsion that he needed to finish it for those who have been waiting 15 years for it. Whereas most people would say, oh no, new number one. Come on, chop chop. We're doing our own thing now. Get on the bus. I mean, I think the fact that it's just one issue is perfectly fine.
Yes.
The fact that it's issue 12 is you don't have the expectation that this is the first issue. You don't have to buy it if you really don't want to. Although, we'll get to it later, there seems to be a cravat to all that. I think what he might be attempting here is an experiment in a way, so I'm more interested in where this series is going than this issue specifically.
Right.
I will say that I wound up shockingly into the look of this.
Well, I like the color choices. I like the muted palette, the non-rendered stuff. There's a noir aspect to it, a almost Sin City aspect to it.
Yeah.
It isn't quite as like intense as all that, but by using all the muted like sepias and greens and colors like that, and having your main characters be bright red and bright blue,
Right.
makes them leap right off the page.
Well, what's genius about it, and again, I just wasn't expecting it, is like, pastels.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much, everything is so pastel. There's just pastels fucking probably more in this comic than any other comic I've fucking seen. Like, it's just pastel everything. Pastel green, pastel every color of the pastel
I
rainbow.
almost wonder what it would look like if it was black and white, except for Ant.
That's what's cool. I mean, it's kind of like what's neat about it as an experiment is that you are almost getting that, where like Ant has the rendering and the brightest color on almost every page. It's kind of neat because the colors give everything visual clarity. So, like, the soldiers in the sewers stand out from the sewage just by virtue of being different colors. Whereas if they were black and white, there's some black in the sewer water, but it's not really that rendered, However, so I get it. I appreciate that. But I'm saying what's cool is you still kind of, like, Ant is the most, like, fucking, like, your eye is just drawn to her at every single panel. Like, she's the most standout thing.
Right.
I think it's cool, man. I just really appreciate the experiment. I think it was a total fucking success.
So, where were we?
We page by page in this bad boy?
Not really. I mean,
we feel floaty.
I do kind of want to lay some criticism on the ending. It is, I think, and ultimately it's not really a problem so much as a necessity. Is that she gets zapped and she gets her memories back, and then she realizes that everything she's been told was not true, and so the real truth is she has all this family and stuff, and she runs off to rejoin it. The end. Which is a little bit convenient.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's the ending we have to get to do whatever's happening next. I mean, we get to see some good art through it. There's that.
There's a lot of funny kind of shorthand that kind of makes me giggle in a way. Like, when she kind of, like, has the heart-to-heart with her dad, and she's just like, all right, see you later, Dad, and she just walks out, and it's like, dude, you were just throwing all this information. You're just like, hey, see you later after that. Which, I get it. It's shorthand. It's comics. It has to be done that way. But it's still kind of funny that she's just kind of trotting out after all that. And then the other thing that cracks me up is, like, she, like, knocks on the door to her mom's house. Oh, yes, what is it, Mom? She's like, Hannah. Oh, honey, I thought you were dead. I thought I'd never see you again. And then she's just like, come in. We have so much to catch up on. Like, in reality, this mom would be, like, on her knees crying. Like, you know what I mean? It just seems so, like, ridiculous. Like, oh, just come on in. Oh, I thought you were dead. Oh, you're not? Come on in.
Even the last word balloon. We have so much to catch up on, and so we did.
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of hilarious.
It is funny. I hadn't really thought about it until you bros pointed it out. Much of the issue is dedicated to action. And then once you get to, like, the family, probably the titular answer. Once you get to the answer, man, he just sort of shuffles it along pretty quick.
Yep.
Like honestly, like, measure from the end, like the minute she's strapped in. It's like 1, 2,
probably
3.
should be pointed out that she does get shot by John Day.
Yeah. Oh, listen. They were, like, so good. Like, the fucking, John Day. Even the, like, the way Eric, like, just the weird, like, soldiers, their weird little round heads and stuff. It's so good, dude. Love it. Tooth knocking loose action. I love this big ass machine Ant is strapped into.
Yep. Kirby-esque.
Scientific stuff you wouldn't understand.
I gotta say, I super appreciate that for those of us who are, reading this after having read Ant's appearances in Savage Dragon. We get to touch back on the factions of the government that want to bring about the biblical rapture.
Yeah, the Illuminati.
Yes, dude. Fucking awesome. So it's kind of a neat trick because it's like, even though her dad is telling her something, it's presented absolutely like, here, Hannah, here's some new information for you.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, for us, the readers that have read, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, here we go. Like, we haven't, like, retconned the Illuminati out. Like, they're still important. I've wanted to know about them so much since Ragnarok first appeared.
Yeah, Savage Dragon 242.
Thank you, Craig.
You know that's we probably talked about it during the Ragnarok issue, but you know that's real, right?
What's real?
People trying to bring about the Christian apocalypse.
You know, without going into this too much, because I'm sure we will make people... He's talking about an episode mired in controversy, but I have met more people than I wish to... I've met more people than I care to admit that were gleeful thinking the world was ending.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get to the rapture as quick as possible.
Yeah. I just want to tell them, be like, hey, guys, do you realize that, like, hoping for the world to fucking end is not all that different than just wishing you'd die?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man, I just can't wait to die. That way I can just get on up to heaven. Whew. It's like, what?
It's like without no work, no effort.
Yeah.
Cheat codes.
Yeah, what a fucking cop-out.
Cheat codes.
I don't want to be a good Christian till the day I die. I just can't wait to die.
That's why people use this. No. That's why people you would expect to be anti-Semitic or pro-Israel is just what I'll say about the matter.
We are all in on this controversy, baby. Yeah. It's wild, dude.
For the listeners, let's remind Savage Dragon 242.
Right.
Ant shows up, and she's tracking down Ragnarok, who's possessed by, or whose body's been kind of snatched by one of these old Illuminati rich guys.
Right? Yeah, he's a God World god. And
his body was taken over by one of the Illuminati members.
Yeah, when they eject him, just the old fat man falls out. And it's revealed in that issue that it was a means to survive the apocalypse that they themselves were going to bring about.
Right. And in Spawn 266 and Savage Dragon 217, Ant teams up with Dragon and Spawn to track down that Alzea Stone guy, that weird skull head that he had. Remember, I guess he was giving people powers. Yep. But Erik didn't really kind of tie that into the Illuminati. But with this Ant 12, he's bringing that back up, which to me, and I want to hear your guys' take on it, that makes it interesting to me. So it's not just like baddie of the month type thing. I feel like an Ant that it's going to be all tied into chasing members of the Illuminati.
Craig, I have to throw this right back to you, man. Aren't you getting what you wanted? Because this is Erik Larsen dealing with an arc.
Right, yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if this is what he's going for, it's kind of cool. Like,
hell yes, sign me up.
That's her purpose, is to chase down these people.
Yes, I love it, dude. I love a series villain.
Except
love a series villain.
That's not what the back matter implies is going to happen.
Why is that? What are you getting at?
So, Erik explains his motivations for why Ant 12 and all that. And the thing that I find most interesting is when he talks about why he did issue 12 and what issue 1 in the series is going to be about. And let me see if I can find it. And he says, okay, why, at the very end he says, why Ant number 12? Because the work was finished and I wanted to conclude the first Image series before I started another so I can move on with a clear conscience. And volume 2 is on its way. It takes place in and around the first volume, touching on events that run and touching on events in that run and putting it all into order. I'll start with Ant's origin and take off from there, detailing her subsequent adventures from that point forward. The plan is to have this Ant number 12 work as both an ending to Volume 1 and the 12th issue of Volume 2, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. So we are doing the one thing I do not really associate with Erik Larsen, and going backwards.
It's weird, right? It's real weird.
So instead of going off and chasing Illuminati members like you expect, it sounds more like he's going to go back and retouch on all of the stories from the Image run, maybe recontextualize them in some way, but basically, in many respects, retell the same story you've already read, only with the Erik Larsen way of doing it.
I disagree. I don't think he's going to touch anything that Mario Gully did, and I think that all can be thrown out because, like we said, it was so many retcons and, oh yeah, this didn't really happen, we were just tricking you, or whatever it is, that he's going to be able to just rewrite.
Well,
different adventures.
The idea I think it's getting at is he's basically going to tell us what really happened.
Right.
This is what actually happened. The series that you previously had was what Aunt thought happened, or wasn't sure it happened because her memories were messed up. But this is the actual story of Aunt.
But I also don't forget that her costume was developed by the Illuminati to survive biblical rapture.
Yeah. But that was
the Illuminati. But that was tied in.
But that was explained in. Okay, fair enough.
But it's tied into her origin.
I think what Craig's saying is that it's kind of going forward.
Right.
Like, it's not going to just be too tied down with what Erik's described multiple times as an unusable mess.
Right.
I absolutely believe that it's going to just pick up with the biblical rapture government faction. And then there's interesting things, because he says, well, they were in power, but they fell out of power. And it's kind of like, well, he's like, and now they're hiding. It's like, dude, there's interesting things to deal with there, big time.
I can definitely see things like them developing other suits that don't make it or drive people crazy and they become villains or something.
Yeah. Or like even think about think about the ramifications of this faction that's able to just possess gods. Are you kidding me? Like how much does that power extend into other beings, or like holy shit, what a weird fucking ability, right?
Yeah, I'm just a little curious of how he's going to try to pull this off, because I thought the whole point was to get that amnesia type thing out of the way, and now it's like, oh, we're going back again.
My hope is this, that it doesn't waste too much real estate dealing with any of it.
Because we'll keep this in mind. What seems to be the case is he's got the next volume 2 is only going to be 11 issues long, because it's going to share the same final issue with them. This is issue 12 for not only this series but also the next.
Well, how does that work? Does he reprint issue 12 with like extra content?
No, we already bought it. We're holding it right now.
To 13. I know, but I'm just saying when we get to 11 on his new series, if we get to 11.
When we get to 11, we'll find out who Charlie was.
Does that mean issue 12 he just skips to issue 13?
That would make sense.
Or does he do kind of like a, I don't know, North Force Zero, where he just does a different spin on issue 12?
As a retailer, I wonder how they would feel about just it jumping from 12 to 13. I mean, from 11 to 13.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't wrap my head around why he was doing this, but it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
So he has to make one less issue.
You think that's what it is? Got to cut those corners where I can.
I don't know. I can only go by what he said in the back matter.
I'm fucking into it, man. I'm into it. I, again, have no experience. Like Jim said, no experience with Aunt. No preconceived notions. I really didn't feel negatively about her. I just knew she was out there, and I don't know, time, money, whatever, wasn't really able to, like, get into the character. That being said, dude, Erik is like fucking dynamo, and I told you that I'm thrilled as fuck to think about him tackling a new series, because, like, I mean, let's not be grim here, but, like, how many more Erik Larsen #1s are we going to get? You know what I'm saying? Like, what a treat to get to see, like, him starting a new series. And I just fucking hope it lasts, dude. I hope, like, assholes don't, like, not support this. Like, just please, like, fucking support Ant. Like, I want to see where this goes and how he handles it, and just, I would love to see how he juggles this and Dragon and just makes it work. You know what I'm saying?
Right. How cool is it that he reprinted the layouts, like the thumbnails?
Oh, very cool. Speaking about back matter, like, what a fucking awesome treat. DVD extra that I was not expecting.
Isn't it funny? Like, you look at this and you're like, man, how could Mario Gully just not draw this?
Yeah, plenty of action.
It took
right?
him forever, and right? It's like he had this. This was originally going to just be handed to Mario. Mario was supposed to just draw this issue.
Had to lick that crotch.
What's the backstory for the listeners that might not know that I think it's written in this, right?
Yeah, it's in there.
So he gave him the pages, and there was a scene where Ant had her legs kind of wrapped around the guy's head like she's going to snap his neck or something, and he's like, he licks her crotch, and then there's like saliva on her crotch for a couple panels after that. And I remember when that happened and was posted on Facebook, and Erik was like, nope. And then like a year later, all of a sudden Savage Dragon got all X-rated and stuff.
Dude, that was the funniest heel turn. Like, not even heel. Like, I fucking laughed at that so much because I was just like, God damn, I can't believe him and Mario had a falling out over like a little bit of tongue saliva.
But it is weird though. Like, what, you're gonna start giving fellatio, you know, like in a battle scene or something? Like, it makes no sense at all. You know,
if you think you're gonna die, who knows what you'll do, Craig?
If you have this like shiny red ant cooch in your face, you're just gonna get all turned on.
It's like,
forget yourself.
Might as well go for it. I don't know. To me, I think it's fucking hilarious. Like, just the... and I think it's weird. I got to tell you, man, like, listen, I'm excited for Ant. I'm excited for this new direction. I still feel, even after reading this issue, I still feel like sort of Ant in the marketplace. I feel like even with the butt toned down, I feel like this costume...
You keep saying that, but all you got to do is look at pages 18 and 19 and see you're full of bullshit.
Which you got to help me. Mine aren't numbered.
18 and 19.
All right,
yeah, mine aren't numbered.
So, all right. So, how do I even describe this? All right. So, the page with the mom. Go one page back.
All right, one page back from the mom.
That's an ass.
Well, it's not a Mario Golden.
Yeah.
And then you turn page back to mom page. You get the ass focus for 2 panels.
No, that's not even.
There's an ass. There's an ass.
It is an ass, yes, but it's not like
Mario's were gratuitous, Jim.
Yeah,
That's
there's
all.
no back on that.
I didn't say that like Erik is hiding the ass the way a
I'm
corporate
pretty sure
comic
you
artist-
actually said that. Yes.
not in the same way that like a corporate comic artist hides Batman's dick bulge.
I think you might
Like-
be over accentuating how much gully ass there was.
Look at
No,
the
not at
covers
all,
of the
dude.
thumbnails. Look at the thumbnails, Jim.
Jim, all you have to do is flip through any issue of Old Ant, and it's like, it's excessive almost.
No, we doesn't even have to go anywhere. Flip back to the Erik giving the story of how Arya. Okay, look at Ant number 1's cover. Boom, butt right under the thing. All right,
Reasonable size.
Flip.
4.
Look at number 4, Holy Toledo.
Number 7.
No, number 7, dude. And look at the cover to number 8. And then look at the cover to number 9. Jim,
Number
come
8
on.
is almost like that Outrage cover.
It is exactly like that, dude. Are you kidding me?
9, 10.
I don't know.
Yes.
It's just a butt.
11. Look at 11.
Well, I'm pretty
Jeez.
sure 11 may have actually been a reference to that. Remember, that controversy was at least as old as Ant.
No, that was after, I promise you.
Big time after, yeah. I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean,
Number 7 cracks me up.
but like,
Well, it's
here's
just
the
a
thing.
boob butt shot. You get the dime a dozen.
I get that you don't give a shit about butts, but I'm saying it's super.
I didn't say I don't give a shit about butts, Raven. I'm just saying there's plenty of Erik butt in this issue, and Erik butt's pretty good butt.
This one.
By the way, for the timestamp, that's the title. I know you don't give a shit about butts. Listen, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like, I feel like Ant, okay, as a design, I don't feel anything inherently, like, sexual. It's just the human body. The human body itself is not inherently sexual. I'm talking about the market. What does the market think? I think when the market looks at Ant, I think all they're going to see is a sexualized human body. And that's not me talking. That's me talking about what I think the market's going to do. So to try and take Ant in a more all ages direction, I've always said this. I've never been shy about saying this. I think it's kind of a little bit of a wild endeavor. I feel like if the market looks at Ant, they see her ass. They see her skin-tight costume. Jim, you know as well as I do. What's the one thing, like, people that don't understand that, like, why the human form looks the way it does in superhero comics? They say spandex doesn't cling to muscles like that, fabric doesn't cling to muscles like that. It's like, we know, every artist knows. Artists wear clothes. They don't look in the mirror and think, God damn, what's wrong with my clothes? They're not clinging to my muscles.
I do.
Do you? Well, you're not an artist, so but
way to rub it in, asshole.
You bastard. But, like, the thing is this. I'm just saying that, like, I think Ant's a crazy experiment. I think Ant's crazy as hell. I hope it's successful. I want 250 issues of Ant. I really do. But I'm saying that I think that Ant has an uphill struggle, because I think when Joe Blow looks at Ant, they don't think all ages, regardless of how you turn her around.
This doesn't look like McFarlane.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I feel like Ant is in a weird place, and I'm very excited for it myself personally. But I feel like to do an all ages Ant is kind of like to do an all ages Lady Death.
I want to mention something that's kind of funny as shit. The letters pages, Erik is so, like, over the top of trying to, like, make everything match that he even, like, uses the Anthill letter page, like, header.
I was going to ask about why that was squished and squashed like it was fucking 1998.
Because that's the way it looks like in all the other comics.
Well, he has my permission.
It looks exactly like that in issue 10 and 11.
He's got my permission to update that.
Like, so I have to presume that it was that way on the first time it appeared, which means whoever did it didn't know how to crop.
Well, I'm looking at all the prior issues, and it's the same exact image.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
Huh.
I just think it's hilarious that Erik is like, yeah, I'm going to keep it.
Dude, he's a diehard. Like, listen, I know we were talking about, like, it's weird, but, like, I think it's kind of cool. There's a part of me that thinks it's cool that, like, he's just got that in him to fucking see this stuff through.
I mean, it's shit posting at its most beautiful.
I wouldn't describe it as that. Shit posting.
Yeah,
why do you say shit?
He's trolling.
No,
it's a joke.
It's sincere.
No, I don't think
kidding
so.
Me?
I think he just wants it to match, and then he's going to move on.
He's a completionist, dude. I don't think it's shit posting at all. It's sincere, and that's kind of what's crazy. Because he shouldn't care. He shouldn't give a shit. He should totally move on. The business move to make would have been to start with Ant number 1. A triumphant number 1. Instead, he made sure to do this, like, issue 12.
He even said that, right? He's like, I know it's probably against my interests, basically, but I have to close out the series.
Yeah, he did say that, actually. It's wild. It's wild as hell. Ant as an experiment is wild as hell, and I love when Erik, like, fucking just goes for something weird and experimental. It's usually almost always an awesome and interesting thing to be exposed to, if nothing else. So I want to talk. Listen, questions. So we're done. Like, first of all, I feel like we gave good impressions on, like, what we feel about the issue and what we think about it. I want to talk about the future. So our FINteresting Conversation topic was, what did you guys think, and are you on board? And I know that we kind of are, but, like, tell me, like, your guys' sort of feelings on, like, the future of Ant. Like, number 1. And going forward, like, how are you feeling? You feeling excited for this? You feeling, I think, Jim, you kind of alluded that you're still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't Erik, I probably wouldn't read this.
Okay.
Is ultimately the takeaway I have. That's not, I mean, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Erik-isms in this, so that's kind of what the attraction is there for me.
Absolutely.
But if this had been drawn by Gully, although if it had been scripted by Larsen, I probably still would have had some interest in it. It's hard to say, but really the only reason I'm reading it is because Erik's name's on it. Because I've never, ever cared about Ant. Ever.
And you said you still don't feel any particular way yet.
I mean, I like Ant now because I like how Erik draws her and does stuff with her. So it feels like an Erik Larsen character now. I'm not really as sold on the concept, her premise, as Craig is. But I might get there. We'll see.
Craig, the future.
I think in many ways I agree with Jim. Like, when Ant came out, I bought issue 1 and 2. 1 to check it out, and 2 because Arachnid was on the cover and Savage Dragon was guest starring. But I was not a fan of the art. I feel like Mario's art, whereas like if he's doing pinups and stuff, I mean he is a good artist, but I feel like he does a lot of amateur stuff. When you get through an issue and you're like, this guy really can't do sequentials as well as maybe, everyone thinks. I didn't think he was good enough to be an Image comic, Like, I feel like his stuff was okay. I just felt like it mimicked McFarlane, but it was definitely not as good. I didn't like the characters that much. I don't know. It just wasn't, to me, it wasn't a quality comic. Mm-hmm. Although the concept and the characters look kind of neat. So I ended it with 2. And same as with Jim. Like, I feel like if Erik didn't do this, I would probably have no interest because it was a little over-the-top cheesecakey. Like, it felt like it was just an excuse to draw, like, tits and ass. But, like, there was no real story behind it. Now that Erik has it, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with it. I mean, the character's cool looking. I'm not completely sold on this issue 12. We'll see how the issue 1 and the series going on. But this 12, it was okay. It was just a little kind of cut and dry. I feel like he needed to get that setup in, but I think issue 1 really needs to wow me, and I think it needs to wow the audience, or he's going to lose them real quick.
That's fair. That's real fair. I kind of just mirror a little bit of what you said there, is that I really did enjoy the issue as an Erik Larsen fan. I did not feel particularly blown away by it, and I'm glad for that reason, I'm glad it's a number 12 and not a number 1. Right. And when number 1 comes out, it needs to be a fucking barn burner. I mean, Savage Dragon number 1 still hits like a motherfucker, and it's been almost 30 years. Yeah. So I just think that if you compared like Savage Dragon number 1 to this Ant number 12, it's no contest. No. Like, it's a significantly better number 1.
So that's a good point.
So that being said, I really, really hope that he just goes fucking all out for Ant number 1. For some reason, I'm super into the concept. I really love the idea that there's this government faction that is evil. I don't think Erik's done too much with that. And I think that there's a character that exists in name only, Gadget Man, and I'm just super fucking intrigued about the idea of Gadget Man and Ant, like just being Ant just going out on missions. The idea that I have in my head of Ant is that she kind of just goes around, so I don't even have her tied to like one city necessarily. But again, there's all kinds of things for me to be very, very excited about with this. It's another character in another city that is not Chicago. It's a character that, for all intents and purposes, seems to travel, which is awesome. We haven't seen much of that in Savage Dragon. Like, usually it gravitates around a city and then that's it. Whether it's Toronto or Chicago, Savage Dragon is like placed in one location. I think that it is a chance for Erik to deliver some arcs, which is something that Savage Dragon has not done. And honestly, more than anything, I think it's just cool to see Erik experiment. And so I think that this is a kick-ass book for the experimental visuals. I'll be interested to see like where he pushes this, and like if he tries to take it new. Like, we all know Erik gets bored and changes shit up. Like, will he eventually render the book like more rendered? You know, what's going to happen? Like, I'm just more into what's going to happen, and I think the character has a shit ton of potential. That being said, I'm thankful this wasn't number one. I think if this was number one, it would have flopped like a fish. Whereas as an issue number 12, it's kind of like, well, it is interesting, you know? Just not a huge fan of Amnesia.
Yeah.
It's just been done a fucking ton. And so I'll be really glad when that part of Ant is just in the rearview mirror. And we're just telling Ant stories.
I just hope that one comes out, like you said. Like, he gives it his all. Like, it's, you know, I'm not sure what to expect, but I think he needs to remind people, like, top-tier Erik Larsen shit is, like, insane. You know what I mean? And I hope that number one does that. The thing, like I mentioned, and I'm not going to kill it, is the kind of the very loose background characters kind of kills it for a lot of people.
Of course, dude, yeah. I mean, it's a reality. Is that, like, when people see it, they don't react well for it, typically. We have seen something, I think, to give hope is we've seen other Ant, like, previews, the kind of one where she's, like, beating up the, you know, DC Batman Rogues Gallery pastiches. And it seemed more rendered than this.
Yeah. I forgot about that. It's a good mention. That's a weird group of characters, and, like, how does that tie in with the Illuminati, if at all?
I think there's going to be interesting things, man. I mean, New York is where most... It's in New York, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So New York's where most of the Marvel heroes are based around, and I just cannot see Erik with his love of doing, like, comics meta. I can't see him not, like, leaning in on that and having fun. I just can't see it. I feel like we're going to get some Daily Bugle... fucking Fantastic Four, you know, Baxter Building. I just feel like we're going to get some Hell's Kitchen. I just feel like there's going to be fun had with this title.
I hope so. We'll see.
And even, like, the appearance of Daredevil suggests that, like, we could even see more SOS stuff.
That's true.
Right.
The SOS has been so absent from Savage Dragon. And I mean, rightly so. But I'm just saying, like, man, just... Are we going to get, like... backup comics like we do in Savage Dragon? Like, it's just, there's a lot of potential here, dude. I feel like if he wanted to, I feel like this could be a fucking incredible kick-ass thing. Just, you know, we'll see.
Do you think that Erik just keeps all the writing and, you know, penciling, inking to himself, or do you think he could open it up down the line to, like, guest writers or something? Kind of like what McFarlane did.
You want to know what I think versus what I want?
What's that?
I think that he's never going to, like, let go. I think that he's going to, like, always want to be, like, a writer at least, minimum.
Right.
But what I want is I would love for him to be open to, like, you know, doing some just editorializing, like, oversight. Like, you know, he could set the pace, kind of like with Freak Force. I've been enjoying our time with Freak Force during the retros.
Well, here's another thing, too. What about him having guest pencilers? Whereas he doesn't have to worry about, like, you know, he's all about his streak on Savage Dragon, but if he's following behind and there's, you know, someone with chops out there who wanted to do a guest pencil, you think he would be open to it?
I don't
or
think
do you think the same thing, that he wants to keep it tight to...
I don't think he would because he's a completionist, but I would love to see him do it. I think there's a ton of talent that would love to, like, I mean, dude, you know, like we've seen, there's so many talented dudes, it's weird because like Savage Dragon has like just a roster of talent, like even just around it.
But and that's what I'm thinking. Like, you know how like with McFarlane, Spawn sales have been pretty good through the years, but I think it also attributes it to not getting stale with like having different writers or artists on there.
Right.
And I feel like that's something that Erik can let go of a little bit, maybe by having like the guest writers or artists would help keep interest in Ant. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. Listen, that's the thing. The only difference between Kirkman and Erik is that Kirkman is more than willing to bring on like extra collaborators. Right. And like where Savage Dragon is so near and dear to Erik, and I get it because, dude,
absolutely.
I'm drawing my near and dear thing, and I can never let anyone lay hands to it because it's too important to me. But like, I absolutely would love to see him not treat Ant as near and dear.
And you got to imagine, I mean, it's not even a character he created, so he doesn't have that attachment.
Right. And we're not even talking about, like, it doesn't even have to be a constant reboot mess like the original Ant series was.
I'm just saying, like, fill in artists here and there, just drum up excitement.
Think about Kirkman's a great example, because Kirkman's got Larsen vibes like crazy, obviously. He's like a son of Erik Larsen. But, like, basically, like, I want you to think about how sweet it was as a Kirkman fan between, like, Astounding Wolfman, Tech Jacket, the Rexplode and Adam Eve mini, like, you know, fucking Brit,
yeah.
It's like all
Guarding
these series.
the Globe.
Guardians of the Globe. I did not. Thank you. Think of all these series, and it's like, yeah. For your purist, you had Invincible, and that was Kirkman, and that was Otley, and that was like, Cory Walker, and like I get it. That remained pure, but then Kirkman let himself be open to letting those other series be worked on by other creators, and man, I think that a lot of gold came out of that. What about you, Jim? Would you like to see that sort of like level of... Would you like to see Ant open up, or do you want it to be Larsen pure?
I could see it going both ways, to be honest, for the same reasons you guys do. I'm mostly here for Erik's art, and his writing, of course.
If Erik left, would you drop it?
Probably immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. What about you, Craig?
If Erik's at least writing it, then I'm here for it. But if he's not, then no.
What about editorializing it Freak Force style?
It would really depend what writer came in to replace him. It'd have to be someone that I would give it one issue to wow me. And if it did not, then I would be gone.
One issue, huh?
One.
Done.
Wow. And you're still reading crossover. It's crazy. Just kidding. I like that idea, Craig. I like that idea a lot, dude. It's not that I don't want Erik to do 2 books. I totally fucking do. But I could see a scenario where Erik gets overwhelmed doing 2 books and decides, no, Savage Dragon is suffering too much. I must end Ant. Or the other side of the coin is he could be like, oh, well, Ant didn't perform, and so I must, end Ant. And I just wish that instead of the conversation being, I must end Ant in either of those scenarios,
I must end the Savage Dragon.
No! No! Don't break the streak. No, I'm just saying, I wish, like Craig said, I wish he would just, instead of it being like Ant must die, I wish it would be like, well, my run on Ant ends, allow me to open the floor up with Ant to another creator.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
What?
Wow. Well, yeah. I think we've said our piece, right?
Yeah. It is nice. It is nice to have a second book, though. No matter what it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, in a lot of ways, how many FINcasts have we lamented the fact that like we don't have our Freak Force style second book anymore.
Right. We did Supreme and we did Ninja Turtles. And generally speaking, it's nice to have 2 books.
Yeah.
And to finally get Ant, because how many years have we been
talking about Ant a long time?
4.
We'll have to do some research whether this was longer than Scooby-Doo van.
The Scooby-Doo van, yeah.
How long that went from what the fuck is that to Giant Size Kung Fu Bible Stories.
You know, it's funny. I wonder sometimes if we taught Erik not to throw out things he's thinking about, because the romance
because we just keep bringing it up.
right, in every interview. The romance movie plot, that's done. He said in an interview that he killed that. The Ant finally came out. The Scooby-Doo Mystery House.
Wait, what's the romance movie plot?
Remember, he talked about this. He wrote us. He was either wrote or was writing a romance, non-action romance movie script.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just to say he could.
Just for fun, yeah.
It's so strange.
You know what? Less strange than you think.
I mean,
like artists and creators always want to like explore.
Well, think about it. Erik has always been kind of negative about the possibilities of Savage Dragon the movie, but he never said anything about he didn't have ideas for movies. Right. They're not Savage Dragon.
I thought all he thought about was Savage Dragon.
Savage Dragon.
Does seem that way, yes.
That's what I would hope.
The mysteries are solved. I'm just saying, like, there is no... Think about it. Is there another thing? Like, we got Ant, the Scooby-Doo house. Like, he confirmed that the murder mystery's done. There's no other thing, right?
There's always something. He's not buying another comic store.
I forgot he bought a comic store.
He's not selling us fruit pies.
Home run pies.
One last question. There is actually something we haven't addressed. Talking about Savage Dragon being precious and how he never wants to see a Savage Dragon like cartoon series or movie really ever again. What do you guys would you like to see? Would you like to see Ant get some multimedia treatment?
I mean, I think it would be more
for Eric's sake,
be viable.
It's very viable.
But again, I think it's a case of Erik not really interested. He would have to give up too much control.
I asked what you would like to see, Mr. Purcell. What would you like to see?
Reality.
I don't think that Erik would be as concerned about control with Ant. Again, he didn't create the character, so I don't think he's...
Oh, yeah. Cash the check and go fuck yourself.
I'm just saying I would like to see him make some money with Ant. And if it means a TV show on Amazon...
It's the Alan Moore way.
Make that money, dude. If people want to, like, turn Ant into some fucking property, let them. Ant statues... Ant action figures, like, get out of town. You tell me what an easy action figure that'd be to make? You just make a form and you paint it red. Case fucking closed. Any toy maker would love that shit. Are you kidding me?
Let's be real. Raven Perez would love that shit.
Raven Perez would love that shit. Come on, cosplayers. Ant. Come on, e-girls. Ant. All right.
Well, I think we said our piece.
I think we got to take a look to the future. To Savage Dragon 260. Torment triumphant. The Mad Menace Torment has come to Toronto, seeking revenge against Malcolm Dragon. That's August 11th. And August 25th. Ant number 1. Ant. Who is she? And how she came to be. Erik Larsen takes on a whole new wall crawler. Ant's epic adventure kicks off with this all-new origin issue. A new ongoing title by Erik Larsen. How do you like that read?
Pretty good.
That's exactly it. Tune in next time for the astonishing Ant.
Here, I got your ant action figure right here, Raven.
Uh-oh.
It's
Nothing
a picture of his pants.
makes good podcasting like a visual. Yeah, see what I'm saying? For the listener only, Jim has sent me a super
dick picture.
It's just painted red. God damn it, Jim! Where'd you get that red paint so fast? No, it's just there's a new drawing figure, and it literally has a face that looks like ants. Like if you just put an antenna on it, it'd be perfect.
It's actually not. It's not really a drawing figure. It's a blank action figure for customs. And they have a red version, so all the skin is red.
But is it like red chrome?
No, it's not red chrome. It's the
That's
paint.
when you
gotta paint those black swirls on.
I don't want to paint black swirls. I want chrome. I want them to reflect my. That's reflections, right?
Right.
I want to reflect a reality around me, man. I want to see my face in Ant's ass.
Well, there is a silver one.
There's a statue that came out.
Of Ant?
Yeah.
Oh, now I gotta Google.
Well, I believe that. I mean, that's the kind of thing that statue makers would kick down your door for. That Ant license. In 2005.
Well, it's pretty cool too. It's not as chrome as I would have liked.
I mean, I don't really read her as chrome.
You don't see all that shininess as chrome?
I mean,
I see it as like gummy stuff.
Yeah, I see it more as gummy as well. It's more plastic, rubber. Like this statue is not correct either, because it doesn't quite have the. It's hard to explain, but no, I don't read it as chrome. It's definitely more rubber to me.
I bet I know what you're saying. It doesn't have that wet look.
Right. It doesn't have the wet look. The statue we're talking about, yeah.
Glazed.
Is there a material? Yeah, glaze, yep. I was literally about to say, is there a material that has that wet look? Glaze. Goddamn, Craig, you're a genius, dude.
Try.
Wow. Hey, man. Ant, I think it's fucking awesome. I think it's exciting. I'm excited for it. Who would you cast as Ant in the Ant movie?
I think it would have to be a CGI movie.
I think it'd have to be Jennifer Lopez.
She's too old now.
Yeah, you might want to check your...
Kidding. She still looks... What? Are you
I'm
kidding?
not saying she doesn't look good. I'm just saying she's too old now.
Yeah. You definitely got to go younger.
Okay, who's the new ass girl?
And lither.
Lither? That's not a word anyone uses.
What was the word?
Lithe.
No, but you said lither.
Yeah, lither.
Lither. Either, leither, lither. I think we're going off the rails.
Yeah,
dude.
I think it's time to end this. Put it out of its misery. Straight into the ground.
Thank you for listening, dear listeners.
You lithe fellows.
Thank you for listening, lithers. Oh.
All right, we're done.
Yep. That's it. Stopping recording.